the glare and neglect.
Thank you for coming to tonight's school committee meeting. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, now this is our first meeting since the election on Saturday, and welcome to Ms. Trisselli, and congratulations to Dr. Sorensen, both the winners of the election, 2 seats on the election. And we have our town clerk, Mr. Larry Pizer, here tonight to swear them in. I think Dr. Sorensen was already sworn in, but ceremonially, if you want to both be sworn in.
No, I've already been done.
Oh, you already
so
been
we
done?
can do it. We did swearing the other night.
Okay, fine.
Not for a photo
Yep.
op?
Yeah,
You can go right over there.
Not even for a photo op? I know.
You have to do a photo op.
Photo op?
it makes for a good photo, Lee.
Yeah,
So
I
you
did.
you come in the middle here.
Wait a minute.
Larry, I'm being told I'm supposed to.
Photo op.
Be sworn in twice.
Can't do it too many times.
Double good.
James R. Sorensen and Lee C. Truscelli, you've been elected to a 3-year term through 2019 as a member of the Plymouth School Committee. Do you solemnly swear that you will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform the duties incumbent upon you as a member of the Plymouth School Committee in accordance with the bylaws and charter of the town of Plymouth and the laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Larry. Now, as the town charter states, our first order of business has to be to reorganize. So in order for us to do our reorganization, I turn the chair over to Dr. Maestas, and he'll start the process.
Good evening. Tonight, we have the opportunity after the election to have a reorganization of the school committee. And at this time, I open nominations for chair of the Plymouth School Committee. Do I have any nominations? Ms. Burgess.
Yeah, I nominate Dennis Bailey.
And we have Mr. Begley as a nominee. Do we have any other nominations for chair of the Plymouth School Committee? Seeing none. Typically, if we had more than one candidate, we would allow the candidates to speak as to why they would like to fulfill that role. At this point, I want to open it up to a vote for members to vote. And I'd like to have a show of hands for Mr. Begley for chair of the Plymouth School Committee. For the record, it is unanimous. At this point, I turn the meeting back to Chairman Begley.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody. And now we're going to take nominations for the vice chair. Ms. Hunt?
I'd like to nominate Michelle Badger.
And are there any other nominations? Seeing none, all those in favor of Ms. Badger? Unanimous. And now we're taking nominations for the secretary. Ms. Badger,
I'd like to nominate Kim Hunt.
are there any other nominations? Seeing none, take the vote for Ms. Badger. I'm sorry, take the vote for Ms. Hunt for secretary. Sorry. All those in favor? Unanimous.
And I move that we close all nominations for the offices of the school committee. I'll need a second on that.
Can I?
I've made a motion to close all nominations. Seconded by Mrs. Berger.
Okay, we were all done anyway, though.
No, to close nominations. Because if we don't close nominations, somebody else can make another nomination.
But should we
Right,
do
but I
that?
already asked, but okay.
What should
So we have a motion to close all nominations, and we have a second?
I seconded it already.
Seconded already, and all those in favor? Unanimous. Very good. Thank you very much, everybody. Next, we have our new student representative tonight joining us. Megan Hendry is going to be our new student representative for next year. And Veronica Holmes is going to be leaving us as a senior, and we're going to miss you big time. You were very good. You did a great job as our rep.
Thank you.
And we're going to come back in a few minutes, a little further down the agenda to get our reports.
So we're not doing Russell
No, there's only one graduating. Okay. Okay, now we have some school committee commendations. We have the high school science fair and the visual arts sciences. Dr. Maestas and I were going to give out some certifications.
Yes, tonight we are pleased to be able to recognize students in the district for their outstanding accomplishments, and we will start with science, and then we'll move to the visual and performing arts. So we have a lot of people here tonight, so I think they're excited to get started. So we'll do that. Thank you.
He's on his baddie side. Abused.
All right, we'd like to begin. I'm not sure if the students are here, but I'm going to go ahead and read their names. The first student is Sophia Adong from Plymouth North High School. Is Sophia here? All right, Sophia. And Sophia, I'd like you to tell the audience what the name of your project is, because I am having a difficult time.
It's in silico docking studies of corticipin nourishing combination in ADA1.
I was thinking that. So we want to congratulate you, and this is your last science fair?
Yes.
And congratulations for the many years
Thank
of
you.
dedication to science. Very good. Next, from Plymouth South High School, we have Alex Lister, grade 11. And Alex is not here tonight. We will make sure he gets that certificate. We have Ann Donahue from Plymouth South High School, grade 11. Ann's project was Space Explorer. That one I can definitely read. Congratulations. Next, from Plymouth North High School, Emily Sansusi, grade 10, Healthy Hands is her project. And from Plymouth North High School, Brandon Valerie, grade 12. All right. And his project was the future of electricity. May bacteria one day power the world. Congratulations. All right, and now we will have our students line up, and we will now have our visual and performing arts. Mr. Capel is actually handing those over right now, so thank you. All right, we're going to start with Federal Furnace Elementary School and Sophia Allen. Congratulations. Eleanor Rogers. Congratulations, Eleanor. Seth Lowell. Seth, good job. Michaela Namor. Leanna Scanlon. Olivia Rivolietti. Calissa Furtado. Brian Ciccolone. Megan Hollerman. Good job. Good job. From Madamet Elementary, Caitlin Lawson. Ella Hall. Good job, Ella. Leela Cody. William Bergendahl. Good job. Anna Lanning, South Elementary School. Anna, good job. Lillian Ekman, South Elementary. Lola Lumley. Landon Medeiros. Good job. Patrick Vetter. Trey Thatcher, Cold Spring Elementary. Lily Tuffin. You're welcome. Ginger Corby. Jordan Berry. West Elementary, Emma Gibbons. Isabella Ruscio, West Elementary. Molly Baum. Jennifer Jodice, Indian Brook Elementary. Nathaniel McGawkey. Nathaniel Morton. Colleen Johnson. Lillian Capel, Nathaniel Morton. Gavin Campbell. Joshua Nielsen. Zakiah Mitchell. Jacinda Brooks, PCIS. Elizabeth Martin. Congratulations. Nathan Corbett, PCIS. Kevin Paglia. Isabel Ward. Nice job. Sarah Burt. Sarah, nice job. Nicholas Zupparelli. Tristan Gallagher. Emily Egan, Plymouth South Middle School. Emily, nice job. You're welcome. Sophia Watts. Ashley Wallace. Nice job, Ashley. Congratulations. Dylan Coffey. Good, Dylan. Good job. Patrick Grant, Plymouth North High School. Good job. Deidre Reardon, Plymouth South High. Good job. Heather Oxen. Okay. Madeline Gallagher, Plymouth North High School. Congratulations. Anna Kiley. Rosalie Pollard. And Plymouth North High School, Rachel Wallace. Okay. Daniel Mays, okay. And we have one more, Jackson Molly.
Somebody did that to him. Finally.
I got you now, okay, Malloy. I want to thank all the parents for coming tonight. It's a special opportunity for us at central office to have your children's artwork up in our office. I know many of you have come to visit. It graces the walls of our building. Without it, it's just a blank wall. With your children's work, it's an absolutely wonderful museum of the work that your kids are doing. So it's absolutely fantastic. So I want to thank you so much for allowing us to educate your children. And thank you so much for those of you that have come to Central to watch what your children have done, to see what your children have done. So thank you so much. And we actually have refreshments outside, so we want to thank you so much for coming. You're more than welcome to stay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh.
That is true.
Malloy. I love it. It's Malloy.
It's about time somebody corrected him. It's about time somebody corrected him like that.
That was funny. He didn't want to be Molly. No,
It was awesome.
you will. The day he graduates, he'll be saying something. Doesn't he?
Truthless wonder.
Yeah.
We'll just take a few minutes while the room reorganizes, clears out here. Up.
Tools of the trade.
Yes, because we need to replace the old one. Yes.
Picture?
This is from the cruise ship.
Sure, yep.
Since we might not see you for a while.
Could have been
Yeah.
from anywhere, yeah. But I pick one up once in a while. I buy them and keep them in my bag. Because sometimes you get
Rich, you want to do a picture?
no way to
Everybody,
wash
can
your
we come
hands.
around front,
Yeah, we
do
have
a
time.
group picture?
And after. We're gonna do, oh, we're doing ours? Oh.
We might not see Dennis for a few weeks, so we gotta get him in.
But you should anyway, because it shouldn't be Debbie, it should be Leo.
Right up. This has to change
Tomorrow.
get everything word for word.
Keep smiling.
Nice. Goes on the website, so.
You want me? Let me take out that one.
It's for the website. We have to get it perfect. Right, here we go. 1, 2.
We'll make them work.
Okay, all right. Work your magic?
Yeah.
All right, we're good, thank you.
Hold it one more. Thank you.
That's tonight. Oh, really?
Down to the wire.
It's been good though.
But then they felt like after, but I was like, I don't know, they might have to see
Special meeting. Yes. Yeah, I have to go to that. Okay.
I think my chair is shedding.
Oh,
just
my
where I was
glasses
sitting
are
there.
over there. I don't know how to roll this thing up. Somebody know, how do you do it? Yes, just as long as
Okay,
that
at this
rolls.
time, I would ask if anyone from the general public want to make a comment to the school committee, address the school committee. Seeing none, we'll go back to our representatives and start with Veronica for our South High for final time.
Thank you. Good evening. So there's a lot going on right now with graduation just a couple weeks away. First, we want to start with a couple congratulations. Our tennis team, our girls' tennis team, went to the state individual tournament just recently, and we had some girls do exceedingly well, as some of you might already know.
Yes.
So 6 members of the Plymouth South girls' tennis team participated in the state individual tournament. We had Courtney Carroll and Stephanie Morrow participated in singles, and the teams of Shannon Lyons and Nicole LaFountain, and the team of Maddie Hendry and Colleen Begley. Both teams participated in doubles, and all of the girls won their first matches and made it to the second round. And then the doubles team of Colleen Begley and Maddie Hendry made it to the third round, which is the furthest any team in Plymouth South history has done. So congrats to them. And then Courtney Carroll made it to the fourth round, which is also a school record. So congratulations to all the girls. And both teams that made it the furthest lost to the number 1 seeded team. So we are so proud of their work. Good job to them. And so we also have a big congratulations to Coach Stephanie Finn, who was recognized as the State Field Hockey Coach of the Year, and we're super proud of her. She did a great job. And there will be a congratulatory dinner on Thursday, May 26th, to honor her. So there's that. We also have our first ever ASD program graduation. We have 2 students who have gone the whole way from kindergarten to 12th grade through the Plymouth Public Schools, and they were the first ones to be in the kindergarten program. So we are so proud of them, and there's a graduation this Thursday for them, and we're so proud of how far they've come. Then, let's see. We have, today we had our top 10 breakfast. We're thankful to the central office administrators, the PSHS administrators, guidance, and the culinary program, all for having been there for us and put that on. So we're super happy about that, and we're proud of the kids who were invited to be there. Also, we have good news from, we also want to thank Guidance for all the work they did for AP tests the past 2 weeks. They just put numerous hours in proctoring the exams and everything, and they all went very well at our testing site at Camp Clark, so we're super happy about that. Next, we have good news from Student Council. We put on an Adopt a Seal fundraiser, partnering with the National Marine Life Center in Buzzards Bay. And through this, we raised over $1,200 for the National Marine Life Center, just from student donations. So we're super happy about that. That's the best fundraiser that Student Council has done all year, and it went to such a great cause. So there's some congratulations and some thanks. We also have lots of things coming up. Tomorrow's the last day to buy dinner dance tickets for seniors. So they can buy them during the school day or after school, and they're $40, but it's the last day. We also have, tomorrow is our spring band and chorus concert, and we're excited for that. It'll be at North at 7 p.m. We also have the senior art show is this Thursday at 7 p.m. in the cafeteria. So definitely try to check that out. The senior art students have been doing a great job in the AP art portfolio. They're doing a great job. So come see that. We also, senior finals are next week, Monday through Thursday. So the schedule is posted online, and all seniors received it in the mail. Senior Athletic Awards are May 22nd, which is this upcoming Sunday at 6 p.m. So definitely come to that. All seniors who have participated in a sport this year are invited and will be honored. We also have Class Day is May 27th, so it's the Friday at the end of finals week, so we're excited for that. And then we have Senior Academic Awards Night is Wednesday, June 1st. And then, other than that, I think that is it.
Good. Ms. Hunt?
Veronica, I want to congratulate you and wish you well. But I also want to mention that you were one of those top 10 that was invited to the dinner. So congratulations, because that's an enormous feat. So
Thank you.
good
Thank
job.
you.
Now we have Max. You're going to give us North.
Yes. So the junior prom will be held at Lake Pearl Luciano's in Rentham on Friday, May 27th from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. That's also the same day as Seniors Pretty Day. Plymouth North High School just recently held our first Tech Expo on Tuesday, May 10th. Students presented some of their displays that they've done over the years. Allied Health had boards and marketing kids had boards, and then the engineering students brought projects that they'd done. Congratulations to all of the students involved in the different programs here at North. 2016 to 2017 student council elections took place on Friday, the 13th. The students used the same election booths that are used in the town voting, and student speeches were aired the week prior to the elections. Congratulations to the winners of the elections. Our student council executive board winners were co-presidents Leanne Galanick and Molly McKenna, vice president Emily Burke, treasurer Ben Andrade, secretary Eddie Payson, publicity coordinator Carrie Ann Pendergast, historian Chris Nolan, class liaisons Kyle McCormick and Tyler Nguyen. Class of 2017 officers were all re-elected. President, myself, Vice President Isabel Kierstead, Treasurer Abigail Salvucci, Secretary Haley Robertson. Class of 2018 officers were President Brian Ryder, Vice President Emma Collins, Treasurer Jimmy Riley, and Secretary Alexis Seinwick. And the class of 2019 officers were President Helen Frazier, Vice President Hannah White, Treasurer Michael Tossi, and Secretary Ruby Norris. Once again, congratulations to all of them. The North Voices 2016 concert will be held on Saturday, May 21st at 7 p.m. in the Performing Arts Center at North. Music will be performed by Northern Lights, Menergy, and Girl Trouble. Upcoming senior activities are Mayfest, which will be held this Wednesday, May 18th. Senior Hypnotist Night will take place on Wednesday, May 25th at 7 p.m. in the Performing Arts Center. The last day of classes for seniors is Thursday, May 26th. Senior Class Day, again, is Friday, May 27th at 9 a.m. in the gymnasium. Senior Athlete Awards Day will be this Sunday at 2 p.m. in the Performing Arts Center. The Senior Dinner Dance is on the Spirit of Boston, and that will be May 31st at 6:30 p.m. Convocation will be held on Thursday, June 2nd at 6:30 p.m. Awarded recipients will receive an invitation. Graduation rehearsals will be Tuesday, May 31st and Thursday, June 2nd from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. Attendance is required at both rehearsals, and all school obligations must be taken care of before these dates. Graduation will be held on Saturday, June 4th at 1 p.m. on the football field. In the event of inclement weather, graduation will be held in the gymnasium. High Honors Congratulatory Gathering will be Thursday, May 19th at 7:30 in the Performing Arts Center, with refreshments to follow in the cafeteria. Students that maintained high honors for 1, 2, and/or 3 terms received a letter inviting them to attend the ceremony. Plymouth North High School Student Athletes of the Week were just previously Alexis Perry for her win against Duxbury on the tennis team. She's played both doubles and singles for the North girls tennis team, and she's a very strong and versatile competitor. Liam Rowe also won the Student Athlete of the Week. He's the goalie for the boys lacrosse team. He's one of the major factors in the success of this team this year, and he's a great team leader. Freshman Academy Students of the Month were Michael Tossi and Emily Cotter, Dylan Thomas and Jerry Ann Newton, and Jack Easter and Vienna Holy. Plymouth North News will air their end-of-the-year live show on Thursday, May 18th. Math MCAS testing for sophomores will be held on Tuesday, May 17th and Wednesday, May 18th. The Science, Technology, and Engineering MCAS for freshmen will be Wednesday, June 1st and Thursday, June 2nd. And congratulations to Jenna McDonald and Amber McGee for their Hope Fest t-shirt design submitted to the Jordan Hospital's design competition. Jenna McDonald was chosen as the first place winner and Amber McGee was chosen as the third place recipient. Both students will be recognized at an award presentation with Peter Holden, the president and CEO of Beth Israel Deaconess Hospital. Congratulations again to both of those students for their contributions. And that's all.
Very good. Wow, it's that time of year when so much going on. Very good. Veronica,
If I may add, all those dates, if you missed any of them, they'll be on the website.
very
So
good.
you can check there.
And Veronica, you can take your nameplate with you tonight as a little, so you'll remember us. And we'll see you at Convocation and also the graduation ceremony.
Thank you.
And thank you again. Old business. Anybody have any updates for old business?
It's in there now.
Wow, that's good. We closed a lot of them the last time, so.
Probably just one follow-up to an earlier item that was on old business. We added the speed bumps after the weather.
Good.
So the speed bumps are back up, and also speed bumps were added on the long stretch that goes from Nook to Oberry Street. So that cut through that, there are speed bumps there, yeah.
Back corner
Yeah.
by the tennis court?
Yeah,
Good,
that's
good, good.
back up. I mean, after the weather, the winter weather, we added them back, so they are operational.
Very good.
I just didn't know if she knew how to do that.
Any new business? Anybody have any new business they'd like to bring before us? Okay. Superintendent's report, Dr. Maestas.
Yes, I have a few items to report on this evening. I went to a presentation about a week ago regarding the wastewater treatment repair, and the repair will begin in the next couple weeks. We're hoping that it actually kind of pushes back past the end of school year because of transportation issues down in North Plymouth. They're finalizing contracts for the contractor to begin work. Once that's settled, we will have a timeline that we can publish to the committee and actually to our bus contractor and our buildings. But we do anticipate that there will be some downtown delays. They're hoping to get downtown intersections done sooner than later because of the tourist season. So as soon as we get that timeline, Mr. Costin and our bus company, First Student, were also in attendance. So we're working together with the police department to try to figure out where these bottlenecks may be and try to get transportation issues resolved. But our hope is it'll really be towards the end of the school year and it'll minimize our transportation issues. Reminder, I know our students tonight talked about graduation. South High School's at 9:30 at Memorial Hall. We will have reserved parking for members of the school committee. We will have a morning reception starting about 8:30 at St. Peter's. That's right across the street. We will make sure that there is parking, but as you know, that's a very busy time. We will have passes available, and also there'll be passes for students and families to park downtown during that period of time, and it'll be duty-free. In addition, North High School, like Max presented this evening at 1 o'clock, we will have a reception at North prior, so we'll have time to come to North and be with some of the previous graduating classes and anniversary classes. This weekend, we have the Family Leadership Conference. Dr. Campbell has been working diligently on this. It begins at 8:30 on Saturday morning, and we're urging our parents to come and enjoy a morning of activities to really learn and be part of activities that we have planned. Dr. Campbell, I'm not sure, do you want to speak a little bit to that? Just to kind of give a little bit of preview.
Again, we welcome all families, community members to come. We'll have a family leadership conference excuse me, as Dr. Sorensen, I'm doing it too. Dr. Maestas has stated, we have a Family Leadership Conference on Saturday, May 21st from 8:30 to noon. All families are welcome. We do have registration. Go on the Facebook page and register. You've received multiple communications from me through email too. We can register that way, or you can sign up and register the day of the event. We have a keynote speaker who's a parent rep for the Department of Education, Mass PTA member, Mass School Board member in Lexington, as well as 16 workshops and 12 community resource tables. So it should be a very informative, engaging, collaborative opportunity for families. The YMCA will also be there to support families and students. So bring your children if you do not have some place for them to go, because we'll have activities for them. And like we said, we're hoping to have a big crowd there. So again, this Saturday, the 21st from 8:30 to noon. I think Kim wants to say something. At Plymouth North High School, excuse me.
Just really quickly, for the board here, we're going to have a panel discussion with Mary Ann, who's the board member for the state. I'm going to participate, and I think the invitation went out to all of us. So if you haven't responded to Chris, whether or not you can participate, and Lee, you're included as well. I know you were thinking about going. Just a panel discussion where people can ask us questions, or I think we're going to gear it to talking about how parents can get to know the decision makers and advocate for their kids. So if you guys haven't responded to Chris yet, we are going to be included in that.
Very good.
And I have one other reminder and calendar thing for the committee. June 1st, we have our Plymouth International Chorus concert, June 1st. And that would be something that you don't want to miss. It's going to be a great evening. We'll have our students here from Plymouth, England, combined with our students here from across the district. So our students arrive, I think, the 28th. Is that correct? 28th. May 28th. And they will be with us for about a week. They'll be touring and working with our kids, and really the big focus will be that concert, and it should be powerful. So if you know any community members that would love to see a great concert with kiddos on the stage and just really powerful, I think it'd be a great activity to come out and watch. All
What's
right?
the date again?
June 1st, and that's at, what time is it?
It's at, you're going to ask for that? Might be at 7 p.m.
Yep. Yeah.
It is.
Unfortunately, it's at 7, and it's the same
Yeah.
night as the senior awards. Unfortunately, we just couldn't arrange the schedule to be in a different night, so.
Senior awards. at
Senior awards night is the same,
Senior
yeah.
awards for
Yeah.
South.
South.
Yeah, South, yes,
Because North's Thursday.
yeah. So we're juggling that, and I'm sure we'll cover all the bases that night.
Yeah, so this particular week was requested by the delegation that's coming, and there was no other alternative. So with all of the activities, as you've heard, that are taking place that week in our schools, that was the only night that the PAC was actually available, unless we did the concert the day that they arrive. And they need to rehearse because we have over 100 of our own students that are also participating in that. So unfortunately, there was a conflict, but
All right,
busy
and
time.
It's
Very busy time.
very
Something
busy.
almost every night that
Yep.
week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So back to you, Mr. Begley.
Thank you. Next, we have the retirement announcements. Dr.
Thank you, Mr. Bagley. We have Stephen Hahn, who is our bus driver coordinator, district-wide after school mostly, after 29 years of service, will retire September 23rd. We have Patricia Kirkland, our cook manager at South Middle School, who will retire June 20th after 18 years of service. She's wonderful. And the next one is a little bit, we've been back and forth, but I do believe it's actually a resignation. But Kathy Similaris, who is a French teacher at Plymouth North High School, has only been with us for 1 year, but is a 30-year education career, will retire June 20th, last day of school.
Ms. Badger?
On behalf of the Plymouth School Committee, I'd like to thank the 3 individuals for their combined 48 years of service to the district and wish them a happy retirement. Excuse me.
Very good. Correspondence, Ms. Hunt.
Yes, there's one piece of correspondence tonight. A thank you letter from South High Principal Patricia Fry commending vocational teacher Nicole Kierstead on her efforts in organizing the third, oops, hold on, my agenda just changed in the middle of my thing. Hold on, I'm on Nathaniel Morton already. Okay, a valued tradition at South High that will now be used as the model for other New England schools. Thanks to Ms. Kierstead's leadership in coordinating the event flawlessly, Mrs. Fry wrote about receiving a grant this year that provided the opportunity for the students to have lunch. She further explained that watching the groups of students discuss the event during lunch demonstrated the yearly impact on all types of students. She highlighted that community members rave about the professionalism, politeness, and the ability of South students to manage the many different facets of financial literacy and acknowledged these local business owners for their many donated prizes. Mrs. Fry finished by thanking Ms. Kierstead for going above and beyond to make the Credit for Life Fair a reality for South students for 3 consecutive years.
Very good, thank you. Now we have our first school improvement plan. Our Nathaniel Morton is up tonight. We have Principal Spencer here. And Dr. Maestas, you want to?
Yes, tonight we are preparing to invite the school council from Nathaniel Morton Elementary School. We have Mike Spencer and Ms. Chase. They're here tonight
To accomplish a lot of work.
to present.
At all.
There's quite a few, so I think we have enough chairs for you.
Not the big audience was here for us earlier.
Yeah, just sit anywhere you like.
This is a good turnout for the school council.
That's your job, you know that.
Do it on camera.
They need one more chair.
Good evening.
Which mics are active up here? So we have.
All of them.
Hopefully they all are.
Yeah, just have to turn that one on, Mike. There's a switch on the bottom. I think I turned one on.
There's numbers on there. Okay. It just may be easier just given the group that we have. Before we, I guess, start our official presentation, we have just a quick video update, for lack of a better word, so hit it.
2 years is how long a school improvement plan covers. That's a short time to accomplish a lot of work. Coming this Monday, May 16th, to Plymouth School Committee, the story of a school and its search for continuous improvement.
Oh, no.
We've worked really hard, but how do we share that progress?
I have to find Nathaniel Morton's School Improvement Update. I have to find Nathaniel Morton's School Improvement Update. How are we going to share our progress?
Just keep swimming. Just keep improving.
The school council worked tirelessly, addressing all areas of its plan and ready to present its update. It even swam through the potentially dangerous water of data.
Welcome to the Data Shark meeting. Please introduce yourselves. Name's Bruce.
Hi, Bruce. I know we have to rely on data to measure our progress, but there's so much of it.
Repeat after us. Data is our friend.
Data is our friend. Data is our friend.
Just keep swimming. Just keep improving.
The journey continued as the team focused on its goals as they searched to update their plan and established the communication current.
A really important goal for us is to engage with families and keep them informed. But how do we do that?
Hey, dude, just go with the flow, man. Follow the communication current and join the NMES crew, dude.
Just keep swimming. Just keep progressing.
As the first year of the 2-year plan progressed, it was clear that the school needed to help its students get up close and personal with its environment, with experiences and visits to support its marine studies theme.
So our students really seem to be learning a lot and having fun this year.
Maybe I should try to speak whale to find our plan. Where's our progress? Just keep swimming. Just keep improving. Wow.
May 16th, the Plymouth Public Schools, in collaboration with the NMES School Council, present Nathaniel Morton's School Improvement Plan Update. You've got to see it to believe it.
Just keep swimming. Just keep improving.
Just to you.
Improving.
Are we ready? Okay, hold on. I gotta get my line. I gotta get in character. Should we put it down there? What, the lines? No, I'm good. I can't see them. I don't have my glasses on. At least for the outtakes. Where's our progress? Where's our... Okay, questions? No. We don't want questions on that necessarily. So that was for two reasons. One, to have a little bit of fun, but also to try to preview the fact that a lot of the work we've done in our school improvement plan and that we're going to talk about is around this marine studies theme that we have going on in our school. And also, it is a good way to highlight also another communication tool we've used this year, which is the EDTV that is part of elementary schools. And so Jen Mulvaney is the mastermind behind that video. Certainly the talent on air is not the mastermind by any stretch. So we're going to switch from that quick video, if we can move over to our slides. Ooh. And as you can see, so we do have quite a few of our school council here, and we were pushed up a little bit on the agenda, so we'll probably have a few more people joining us as we go. And I think what I'll do, rather than trying to introduce the group, is just as people are speaking to the slides, if they can kind of just introduce themselves a little bit in their role. I will say in preface that what we've tried to do is mirror what we've done throughout the year in our work, and it has been a really collaborative effort amongst families and staff representation. So this first slide is part of our goal one, which is, again, we try to mirror the school strategic plan, district strategic plan. So this is really our academic focus goal. And it was focusing on that subgroup that we call high need students. So for those who aren't familiar with that category, those are students that either fit one of the following cohorts. So they are either low income identified, either special needs students or ELL students. Across our school, so from K to 5, it's about 33% of our student body that we're looking at that fit one or of those identifications. When we look at the bottom bullet there, I'm going to start on the bottom of that slide first. It's one of those success measures that we thought about, and we come shy a little bit in this first year of that, but that is looking specifically at what our current fifth graders who fit this profile, because we're looking at student growth percentage. And student growth percentage for us at the elementary school can really only be measured for our current fifth graders because they've gone through the statewide assessments as third and then fourth graders. So what we are trying to look for in our school improvement plan is to have high need students mirror the median growth percentage for our school. I think it's a step in the right direction. I think it's a good number, good percentage, but we want it to be higher. So that bottom bullet talks about 42% of this category meeting or exceeding that median student growth percentage in ELA, and about a third of them meeting or exceeding the student growth percentage in math. For those of you who aren't familiar with the student growth percentage, it certainly has lots of elements in its algorithm, and even more added this year because they were comparing two different sets of statewide assessments. So they were looking at MCAS for these students when they were third graders, and then looking at their PARCC scores as fourth graders, and they came up with what they said is a reliable student growth percentage. So we're trusting that, but into next year we'll have a little bit more apples to apples because students will have been through PARCC for more than just the 1 year situation.
again, in our school improvement plan, we are trying to find other data points, not just relying on the statewide assessments. One of the bigger ones for us is the literacy benchmarks that we use, and we used end-of-year literacy benchmarks, so we're not quite there for that assessment window, so that's something we're going to be looking at again, hoping that our high-need students show equal to, if not greater, growth for all of our students. So for the rest of the slide, I'm going to kind of just pass it down to two of our staff members who are on the end, and again, they can kind of introduce themselves.
I'm Katie McGacker, and I'm a moderate special needs teacher at Nathaniel Morton, and I teach grades 3 and 4. And one of the ways that we worked towards this first goal was through trainings. So that first bullet kind of highlights some of them. Certainly the sheltered English immersion. All of us need to be endorsed in that in order to recertify. Another one are some co-teaching designs. Some of us had the benefit of going to some trainings that I know we'll go a little bit more in depth about later. Also, most of us are now trained in an intervention called First Steps for math. And we're all taking the UDL approach, which is the Universal Design for Learning.
My name is Margaret Hoare. I'm a consulting teacher of literacy. Another way that we worked towards this goal was through our faculty time. So we started something new this year called instructional rounding, where teachers had the opportunity to visit each other's classrooms and with a specific focus on student engagement, and then share out afterwards any new thinking or any observations that they wanted to share with their peers. We also met regularly in our professional learning communities, our PLCs, about a variety of topics. We also met several times for grade level analysis of student performance. We met as grade level teams. We also met as some mixed groupings, and we shared collaboratively some ideas and strategies that work for our students in terms of academics and behavior. Oh, we also regularly met with our child study team to discuss high-need students and any interventions that might be helpful for classroom teachers.
Is this on? Okay. I was just going to jump in there and talk a little bit about the child study team. So just one student that we worked with this year in child study, so he is a high-need student and an ELL student. So we just built the team around him to really support him and saw some really great growth, specifically in reading. So just the team that worked together, it was consulting teacher of literacy, both of them. We have our ELL teacher, our school psychologist. So it's really a team of teachers and staff that work together. We look at this child's skills, where they're at, what they can do, and then where they can grow, and how we as a team can collaborate together and really communicate together to reach that student needs.
Are we moving the slides, or we are? Oh, that's not going to work.
I can.
There we go.
So I had the benefit of going to one of the co-teaching trainings. I actually went last year and this year. And that was really great. It really helped me to grow as a teacher and to create really positive professional teams for both 3rd and 4th grade, the teachers that I'm working with. And it really helped us to meet all the needs of the diverse learners and working with students that are on IEPs and some of those high need kids and just people that need a little extra support. So it was a really great benefit to go to that conference. Another one, that First Steps that I mentioned before, is an intervention where we said most of our teachers are now trained. So this is kind of the step before special education, where we can work with students in the classroom. And the big message behind this is that oftentimes kids are getting the right answers but for the wrong reasons. So with this piece in place, we're able to help kids really develop their math skills and get their concepts for the right reasons. Margaret and I actually had the benefit of getting endorsed in the Sheltered English at the beginning of the year, so she's going to talk a little bit more about that.
Mostly what I'm going to speak to is just the impact that I've noticed, and I know other classroom teachers have noticed, and other staff in the building around more and more teachers being trained in the Sheltered English Immersion, is that there's this heightened awareness and understanding of our school communities and our families now, maybe that there wasn't so much before, so that we're really thinking about our families and their individual needs and how we can best support those students, thinking about what they can do, and then building that into our language objectives and our lessons, which I think we all see as very important and powerful. So that's been a benefit of an impact of that.
Hi everyone, my name is Aaron Smith. I'm a 5th grade teacher here at Nathaniel Morton. And I just wanted to talk quickly about the co-teaching. I also got training in the co-teaching model, and this year my classroom is set up that way. So it's myself and an MSN who is full-time in my classroom. And it's a nice model. You know, it took a lot to plan it through and to prep for this model, but what it allows is more of a cohesive student experience, and it really allows peers to be learning in the same. It allows peers to be learning in the same environment with one another, and they might be doing different things. They might be doing different tasks, different activities, but they're learning around one another, and they're learning from one another, and it just really helps everyone kind of feel that sense of community where they might not have in a different environment. So it's been a really positive environment in my classroom.
So we'll switch to the next goal. As we do, I guess I wanted to point out that the work on this goal number 1, someone mentioned before, universal design for learning, is a real sort of tenet of what we're trying to do there, that we are focusing our efforts on a certain subgroup of students, but all that type of training around interventions, around thinking about strategies for these various students, in the end, there we go, in the end is going to really help all of our students, and that's really the key about universal design for learning. And so whether it's a co-teaching classroom, whether it is thinking about English language learners, or whether it's focusing on intervention around a specific subject like math, it tries to meet the varied needs of learners that are sitting in front of us. So we're going to look at goal 2, and I'm going to pass the mic down.
Hi, I'm Megan Snee. I'm a parent of a first and third grader at Nathaniel Morton. And goal 2 is to increase the student engagement and the environmental awareness. So a lot of this has to do with the marine theme, which has been fantastic. So the teachers did a lot of professional development and the staff. And a couple of things they did was they analyzed all the new next-gen standards for science that are coming up. And they got a lot of training with hands-on inquiry-based marine learning, and they had a great program, Mr. and Mrs. Fish come in, and they taught them a lot of things about the MARE approach, using a lot of marine activities, and showed them all resources and gave them a lot of education on what to do for all that.
Hi, I'm Jen Withers. I'm also a parent at NMES of a 4th grader and a 1st grader. Just continuing with the marine theme and the things that have been going on this year at Nathaniel Morton, being recognized by the New England Aquarium for all the marine education that they're doing. And it kind of, the whole year is kind of culminating on June 8th for a celebration of World Oceans Day, where I think the whole day is going to be ocean themed, and you know, all the grades have taken on different levels of learning, including that my kids wanted to make sure I pointed out that each class has a marine animal that they've adopted as their own. And so my 1st grader has the lobster, and my 4th grader has the, I wrote it down, short fin mako. And they've connected with multiple local marine resources for in-school and out-of-school presentations and field trips, and received a great deal of support from the Plymouth Education Foundation for continuing this initiative. And we do have a clip that we wanted to play that was the EDTV feature on Nathaniel Morton and the marine studies story that they've done this year.
Mariners adopted a school-wide marine theme this year. Teachers participated in the New England Aquarium education course, which promotes hands-on, inquiry-based science lessons and activities. Marine educators from the Center of Coastal Studies have visited Nathaniel Morton on several occasions, and recently brought an interactive whale exhibit.
There was a big blow-up whale, and we got to go inside of it, and I learned that that kind of whale has 2 stomachs. It was really big. It was bigger than I expected. Really big. And I didn't know that that whales eat plankton, like a lot of it. I thought they just ate one at a time.
students and teachers have transformed the 3 floors in the school to replicate each zone of the ocean. Each learning space adopted a sea creature to correspond with their region.
We've been learning about penguins and jellyfish. It's really fun, actually.
Recognized as a New England Aquarium School of the Month, Nathaniel Morton will continue the various units of marine study throughout the year.
So just following up with that, just a personal anecdote with my kids. We were out west in Idaho over April vacation, and we visited the Boise Aquarium. And they had so much information, the 2 of them, about it, that other people in the aquarium were stopping and listening to them discuss the shark and the moray eel and the sea cucumber and all this other things. So it's been really great.
So, hi, I'm Jamie Hood. I have a 1st grader and 3rd grader at the school. I'm briefly going to touch base on the student and parent feedback we collected to see how and what and the kids learned throughout the year. So for the 3rd and 5th graders, we sent them out a survey through their Chromebooks. Over 55% of the students surveyed ranked their marine learning a 4 or higher on a 5-point scale. Over 70% of them ranked the visit of Mr. and Mrs. Fish as their favorite extension activity, and along with that, the trips to Stevens Field. I can tell you my daughter especially loved those field trips. Facts that the students referenced learning ranged from food chain, importance of plankton, impact we have on the ocean, and the zones of the oceans. And you see a lot of this that was shown in the previous clip.
So we can't seem to hit the link. I don't know if Mr. Gravio can hit that marine feedback survey, just to give you a sense of what students were taking a look at. And if not, there it goes. If we can hit next on that by chance. So that's, again, in our LMC class or library media studies, students were taking this survey, just kind of going through. So we've referenced a couple times in the students identifying a Mr. and Mrs. Fish. And certainly when I even called them, it's a little giggle that kind of comes across your face. But come to find out, so Deb and Jeff Sandler are Mr. and Mrs. Fish by pseudonym. And they are what I would say is probably Hall of Famers in the marine studies area. They've worked with all of the type of people from Ballard to Cousteau to ocean educators across the country, and have led sort of the New England Maritime Ocean Educators Association, have been sort of lead people. So they were people that came to us earlier in the year and worked with our faculty after school for some of that professional development we talked about. And they just brought a way of bringing their knowledge to students in a very engaging and dramatic way. So it was a great kickoff to our year. I will say another piece that sort of helped us forge this relationship with the New England Aquarium was Allison Reardon, our science coordinator's efforts to bring coursework here last spring and over the summer that many of our staff took advantage of. So those pieces have certainly helped. This goal is, we've sort of shared a lot of work on the marine studies, but it is a larger goal around project-based learning. And we recognize the Plymouth Education Foundation for honoring some grants that we put in. One of them we're particularly excited about for next year. So we have a grant to hatch trout. And so we're going to be raising trout next year at Nathaniel Morton, if all goes well. And that, in addition to a partnership we made with the Center for Coastal Studies, which is in Provincetown, our students are going to be taking water samples right from the water at Stevens Field and reporting back to that center, which helps analyze the oceans that are along the coast down here on the South Shore. So this year, we've really been trying to make connections, get kids excited, which I think we've heard they have been, but also have been informed, and we continue into that and for next year. So we'll see if we can drop out of that survey and get ourselves back to the slides and move on to goal 3. And I'm gonna so much media involved. This is where I break into song. Somewhere beyond the sea, somewhere. Hopefully gets the media happening sooner than later for that. Go. Just keep swimming, exactly. So goal 3 is around communication for us and connecting to families if it doesn't pop up on the screen. And I think,
There you go.
Aaron, were you going first, or? wanna- Aaron or Aaron, either way, it's easy. Can't go wrong if I say Aaron.
Are we going back up or just kind of?
Why don't you go ahead?
Okay. So this goal is centered around homeschool communication. There's kind of a number of different bullets on this slide, but one of the things we've been doing, we're almost there. One of the things that we've accomplished is most of our teachers in the school now are using Google apps in Google Classroom in a lot of different ways. And there's a lot of benefits to this. You know, every student has a Google account, and teachers are able to provide learning opportunities through Google Classroom, different assignments, homework, and it's given kids some of the literacy skill, the e-literacy skills they need to hone, and but it also allows families to have access to this as well, and it allows them to be a part of the work that's being done. They can see in-depth teacher feedback. It's just a nice communication piece that just gives another level of experience to the students and their parents and caregivers. Also, Google apps like Google Drive, the students are getting very literate with Google Drive. And it's also good for staff members because it allows us an opportunity to share with one another on a regular basis. It's very fast-paced, obviously, within a school, but this allows us to really quickly share ideas in many different formats. And recently, we all reached out. Mrs. Palladino here put together a survey for teachers in our school to see how they communicate with families. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
I'm Erin Palladino. I have a 5th grader and a 2nd grader at Nathaniel Morton. And we wanted to find out how teachers are communicating with parents, and we also wanted to find out how parents are communicating with teachers and how that's all going. So we put together the survey, and we had about 60% of classroom teachers respond. And they're using many different platforms to contact parents, either individually or as a group. So things like group emails, classroom blogs, Weebly, weekly newsletters that they send out, many different platforms. Some teachers actually have parents give them their phone number, and then they send out text reminders. So the parent doesn't know the teacher's text or their phone number, but it can be a quick, parent-teacher conferences tomorrow, school pictures tomorrow. So that's a really neat feature. I thought that was great. Email was the most popular way that teachers got in touch with parents and vice versa. Some statistics from the survey are that 66% of teachers typically get back during that school day when they receive communication. I thought that was just great. And whether it be a note that the parent sent in or a phone call or an email, 33% of them said they get back within one school day. So I just thought that was outstanding. Teachers reported that they've seen 80% of parents at parent-teacher conferences. I thought that was great as well. And 85% of teachers said that they had at least adequate, if not more than adequate, time and resources to have an opportunity to connect with families, parents, and many of them have made individual connections. Just as a personal anecdote with my children have been there for 2 years, and I've been contacted for many different reasons, in group contact, but also individually, and they've contacted me when my students are doing really well, and they've contacted me when my students are challenged, and I thought that was great to contact me in both ways. And I just thought the parent communication has been outstanding at Nathaniel Morton. So
So
that's
if I
it.
can we'll have Jeff just give a quick example. Jeff's new to our school this year with a 1st grade student, and one of the things for this goal, I felt like this was a goal as we talked as a school council that we really have hit most of our action items in this first year. Again, it's a 2-year plan. We're in year 1. But Jeff wanted to mention one of the tools that we've used to try to create more cohesiveness across our building. So Jeff?
Yeah, I'm Jeff Pulaski. I'm first time on the school committee here, and also really a first-time parent, a first grader that just started this year. So when we brought home the fish book, this for me as a parent was very important because I'm sure, as you all know, if you ask your kid, oh, how was school today? It was good. Oh, what'd you do? Nothing. So, and you try to get that every day. So, having this book was definitely very informative for me. It helps, with communication and things like that. You probably can't see it, but if you open the book, you have the place like for your money for school lunches and things like that. Then you have kind of you can interact with the teacher here if you have a question and you don't want to send via email, you just want to just write it up. Mrs. Martin was great at writing back for things that we had. They list the important dates, the school calendars, different things. So I know where he has art and gym and music. So when those days come up, I can ask him, well, how was gym or how was music? And then he'll actually respond to me on that one, so it's pretty good. But and then, as we get closer to the back, you have the behavior chart, which I like, and we sign off on it every day. So they color code it so you can see, he has one yellow in there, but we won't talk about that one. But no, for the most part, so at least I know if he's behaving or misbehaving. That's great. And then obviously, in the very back, they have you have. This is where you can get your stuff for the PTA, all the important school papers that come up. Mostly every Thursday, we get all the flyers and everything in the mail, so I know what's going on that way, which is very informative. And also, really in the final piece, is just the work that he takes back home. So everything that he's done throughout the year, I can see it, and that way, rather than just waiting for a teacher conference or something like that, I can also kind of check his progress and see how he's doing and do that. So for me, this has been a really good way to communicate and let me know how my child's doing throughout the year.
So that communication binder is in all grades. So K to 5 have a binder going home, has the same kind of setup, altered a little bit obviously by the age of the students. And again, we're just trying to create a little more cohesion and consistency across the grades. So one of the things that our school council really tried to think about in extending on this goal was finding a way to engage with families at an evening. So if, we just have 2 parents that wanted to just speak a little bit about a wellness forum that we're able to run earlier in the year. So Liz and Stephanie, I'm not sure who's going first, but.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Bryant. I'm the parent of a 4th grader at Nathaniel Morton. We've had a wonderful experience. This is unfortunately my final year on the council. As Mr. Spencer mentioned, in kind of as an expanded goal between the homeschool communication, the parents on the council thought it was a good idea to put something together to try and bring the families in the school together about topics that they wanted to hear about, not just school, but there are a lot of other concerns being a parent these days. So we came up with the idea of a wellness forum. It actually started as an open mic night with Mike. And we thought that could go.
And we know how those go, so.
Yeah, we thought that could go all kinds of wrong. So we decided to have something a little more structured. And to find out what other families would like to see and hear, we sent a survey that the council developed, and we asked the parents in the school what they wanted to learn more about, and it developed into the wellness forum. The parents provided their feedback on anxiety, school-age anxiety, and how to deal with that, and social media safety, which, of course, there was another program about that a few weeks later. So it's a big issue right now. The administration reached out to some professionals, and we had a representative from the Assistant District Attorney's Office come in and speak to the parents about social media safety, which was terrifying. And we also had a representative from BID Plymouth come in to speak about child anxiety and some of the tips to deal with it and how to know if it's anxiety or just, regular kind of growing pains. We took the opportunity in between the 2 speakers also to have a less formal, we called them tabletop resources, where parents, myself included, volunteered to staff the tables and talk to other parents about issues that did come up on the survey but were not well enough represented to do a dedicated forum about. So those tabletop discussions included allergy awareness, which was my table, lice, which another parent on the council represented at that table, addiction, which was put on by Susan Murphy, the nurse at Nathaniel Morton, and the box program, the early morning exercise program, which my son also participates in. So I'm going to turn it over to Stephanie.
So I'm Stephanie Zeitz. I have a second grade daughter at Nathaniel Morton, and we've also had a wonderful experience. So next thing on here is the communication. So obviously we've already talked a lot about the communication, and as a parent, I completely agree. It's phenomenal. There's so many different methods. We did flyers, we had Facebook presence, we had online presence and emails. So based upon it being a first-time event, there were about 40 participants, parents or so on, who had come to the event, which honestly for a first-time event was pretty great. It was more than we all kind of thought and expected. And certainly knowing the different methods that they had learned about the forum from will help us, moving forward with what to continue doing in different ways to do things in the future. So at the event, we did pass out a flyer asking for feedback on it, and 80% of the attendees said that the speakers were very informative as well as the topics. But what was really interesting actually was not only just obviously that 100% of the people would want to see things in the future, but the plethora of topics that parents wrote down that they would like to hear about and come back to a forum on was really incredible. It was kind of remarkable to hear all the different things that parents are concerned about, and certainly having a forum like this where they're able to have not only an expert come and speak to them, but also be able to be provided with resources that they may not necessarily have at their disposal. Or sometimes, quite honestly, especially with something like dealing with anxiety, you may not want to address that or even think that your child has that problem. And this provides a forum where no one's in your face and no one's asking you questions, but you're there just to gain information and obviously have resources at your disposal. And personally, I thought that just the forum was great. I mean, certainly as a parent, I'm fortunate to have a really great network of parents that, I'm able to sit and talk to, and we talk about our children and talk about different things, but what if you're new, or what if you don't have that resource, or what if you're not comfortable discussing something? And this certainly gave a really nice forum to be able to do that, and based on the feedback, it looks like everyone agreed.
So as you can see, we have an involved council in every way possible positively that you can share that, other than Liz's comment about giving me an open mic night. This forum, to me, really highlighted our efforts. This was driven by the council thinking about how do we reach out to families, just batted around ideas, really fine-tune how the delivery of that night went. So I'm so appreciative of the people who are sitting around here and participating tonight. And I'd be remiss also if I didn't mention that the efforts we're putting throughout all these goals really are a reflection of the work of the staff that isn't on our council and the faculty that just day in, day out is thinking about our students and our families. You've heard sort of glimpses of it through survey results and different trainings and things that have been going on. But converting a school into 3 zones doesn't happen if teachers really want to sort of dive right in and make a splash. So sorry about that. We just have to get those puns every now and again. So this is our last slide. Thank you for being patient with us. And our last goal happens to be about technology, and boom, there it goes. So it is really about integrating technology, and I will say when we first thought about this and talked about it as the council of presenting, it's a goal area that we felt like we just didn't maybe get to it as much, but as we started thinking about things that are happening, we feel pretty good about the things that are in place, and certainly there are action items that we want to expand into next year, especially around digital portfolios. But just a couple quick highlights. We had a really fantastic opportunity for our students through our tech integration specialist, Mrs. Hughes. She's been trained as a Google expert and sort of reaches out to various conferences and opportunities. So she put our name out there for a possibility to take part in Google Cardboard, which is, for those who don't know, kind of like the viewfinders, but in 3D virtual reality world. And so our 2nd through 5th graders had a day where Google's trained staff came with these devices, and we had students swimming around the Great Barrier Reef. We had kids who were exploring Rio, I think, even though they weren't supposed to be, but we went on a vacation. So they got to go to virtual field trips, and again, it was really quite interactive and I think quite memorable for many of them. As we mentioned before, this use of the Drive and Google platform, especially for our 3rd through 5th graders, We are moving towards our Oceans Day, and so people are trying to think of ways to connect and integrate technology. This goal is not just about the tools, but it is trying to weave in the standards and the learning. So third grade is coming up with, and I think first grade as well, a digital aquarium for our celebration and taking the research they've had but putting it in a visual display for kids to interact with. I do want to compliment our PTA who continues to provide lots of resources for us, and one of them was through our school book fairs. We've been able to purchase 3 additional smart boards. We are almost close to 100% of instructional spaces with smart boards, so we're through various ways and methods the last few years, we're at 24 out of 30 spaces. And then just an example of the work of integration. So again, our library media specialist and our tech integration specialist have been working with our 4th grade classroom teachers to think about a research project and working around the United States research to find the research in the library space, also back in the classroom, and then find a way to present that through a technology-based effort. This last piece and last link probably could have gone earlier. We saved it for last because we always want to end with the cute. But it also highlights, again, every sort of bi-weekly a way we've been trying to communicate with families is through our own EDTV, NMES update crew. So this is just a quick example of one of those. And when it finishes, I'll tell you why we also decided to choose this update.
Updates from NMES, November 20th, 2015. Main office updates. We have enjoyed welcoming many families into NMES over the past week as we celebrated American Education Week. The students have a great time sharing what they do and learn on a daily basis with their families. We are looking forward to celebrating Thanksgiving with our NMES family on Tuesday, November 24th at our annual Thanksgiving feast. Students will be served a traditional Thanksgiving meal, completed with turkey, stuffing, mashed potatoes, and gravy. Now with marine theme updates. Mr. Rocha from the New Bedford Whaling Museum came to NMES and spoke with our 3rd and 4th graders on Monday, November 16th. He shared a lot of interesting information about dolphins, porpoises, and whales. But the most exciting part about the assembly was when he passed out real artifacts, including whale baleen and sperm whale's tooth, a porpoise's ear, canal, bone, and a jar of animal plankton. Some students from NMES are planning to visit the New Bedford Whaling Museum for later in the school year. Lastly, PTA updates. Breakfast with Santa will take place on Saturday, December 12th. Notices went home in crew binders on Thursday.
So the reason we selected that particular clip was because it highlighted the visit with Mr. Rocha from the New Bedford Whaling Museum. And our 2nd graders just went to visit that museum last week. And they had a great time, but one of the best stories was coming back from there. One of the teachers shared that the docent was asking the students, about whales, and they couldn't believe all the knowledge that our students had, and they couldn't believe that the students knew that the whale ate plankton, and they were pretty impressed by that. But the docent almost fell over when one of the 2nd graders said, yeah, like copepods. Mm-hmm. And they just were shocked that the amount of vocabulary and the amount of knowledge that our kids had. They really are doing a great job with that.
Also, those were 2 great anchors that we had on that newscast. In addition to that, so that bi-weekly, we try to break it into 3 segments. So there's a school-wide update, there's an office kind of update, there's a marine theme update, and then there's something from the PTA. So that's our update. Again, we thank you for your patience and your, I'm not sure the right word, but putting up with our first trailer. And we're happy to answer any questions that we can for you or any other
questions
detail.
or comments? Ms. Hunt?
Just a quick comment. That's a great job, and I'm sure that's why you were the Massachusetts PTA Principal of the Year. So congratulations.
Yes, congratulations.
Thank you, and that is certainly the case in the fact that surrounded by people who hold me up. So thank you for that acknowledgement.
Dr. Sorensen?
There are so many parts to your presentation that deserve comment. So many excellent parts. I think that folder is amazing. I wish I had it when my kids were in school. I'd know what they were doing. But let me just say, your first goal about trying to reach the children, the particular student who's in need I sit on the school council for Plymouth South High School, and that was our goal as well, so I'm really glad to see that that's across the system in various places, because those are the children we have to reach. I want to tell you a quick story about dropping a fifth grader off at one of our schools here a couple of weeks ago. On the car radio, we heard something about some device that somebody was inventing to use on the water, to travel across the water. And before we pulled into the parking lot, he had already brought the device up on his phone, knew the name of it, and was beginning to evaluate whether or not it would work. And it occurred to me that education is not like what it used to be. It is so different. You all know that because you're there every day. We don't know that. We went to school, but when we went to school, it's nothing like what's happening today in education. And so many things you said here today about the Google Apps, about the integration of technology, about learning near students, with students, and around students. We don't teach them anymore. We guide them, and I think your presentation really showed us that, and I surely hope that's where education is going today, and you all know that, and I appreciate it. Very well done. Thank you.
And I'll echo that. It was very well done, and we always love to see all the interaction from all the members of the school council, and it's very well done. Thank you.
Great, thanks very much.
And before we do our next update, we're just going to take a 5-minute break. Okay, so now we have our update on technical program, and Dr. Maestas?
Tonight we have Julia Colby and Alan McLean. They are here tonight to provide information, and they have a troop with them tonight. So Julia, if you want, I'll let you introduce some of your key members of your department. So go ahead.
Thank you. First, let me say thank you for this time. I know it's a busy time, a busy night, and so thank you for allowing us to present and giving an update about our department. So first, I'll start with introductions. Goal 1 tonight will be done by Carrie Cameron. She's a tech integration specialist at PCIS. And Goal 2 will be done by Stephanie Wells. She's a tech integration specialist at Federal Furnace. Goal 3 will be done by Jeff Hudson. He's a tech integration specialist at North. And everybody knows Alan. He'll be doing Goal 4 on the infrastructure. So tonight, we're going to present to you an update on the technology department as well as the technology committee's update on our 3-year plan. I'd like to publicly thank the technology committee for their support as well as their time and effort with the plan. And we'll start with the news. In your packet in Electronic School Board, a lot of nice reading material I gave for you. So I'll just quickly go over it. You did have an update to the technology plan. That was each goal with a check mark in what we accomplished. And then I did a summary for each of those goals. You could see a little write-up about what we accomplished. And that doesn't mean that just because we accomplished it that it won't be done the following year. We will hope to continue each of those and then increase. Then there was a newsletter, the technology around the district. So you can see, it was so nice to see Nathaniel Morton's presentation and all of the technology that's going on, and it just solidifies what is in our newsletter. You can see around the district, things like that are going on all over. So in there, you'll see each school represented. You'll also see a section on technology trouble tickets for Alan's department, 9,046 trouble tickets successfully serviced by the technicians just from September through March, which is a big feat. You'll also see a section on the elementary EDTV program, and then I always put in a section for teachers' security measures, avoid getting hacked, fraud, shopping online, things like that. Then there was a newsletter put out. I tried to do something from each of the different levels, so you'll see a newsletter from an elementary tech integration specialist on things happening at her 2 schools, Hedge and West. South Middle, a technology newsletter on different technology going on around South Middle. Jeff's screenshot of his website at North. So he has a website devoted just to what's going on at North, how they can reserve the carts, things like that. And then we, this year, created a website for staff. It has a lot of resources on it, and it's really nice having that because when it came time for park, we threw up a page on there, and Carrie, she's like the queen of park, so she created a lot of helpful handouts for the teachers, and we could put them all right on that one spot for staff, which was really helpful. So that's just the extra reading material. So park, as you know, we're about in the middle of park. It's the month of May. It's going really well. We have, right now, we're testing elementary and middle school at the same time. Last year, we had to do it separate because of the number of Chromebooks. So this year, it's great. We can test at the same time. We have 800 Chromebooks at the elementary level, 600 Chromebooks at the middle school level. And just a couple glitches in the beginning, and everything else is going well. This year, we were lucky to be given technology choice sessions during our in-service sessions. So the tech integration specialists, along with lots of classroom teachers, were able to offer a variety of PD for staff. And Stephanie will talk about that more in Goal 2. Our online program, already in its 14th year, we have the VHS and Edmentum, and Carrie will talk about that in Goal 1. So our technology plan update, it's going to provide a look at our department and where our focus has been. We met in February as a committee, discussed our goals, looked at what else can we do, is there anything that we wanted to get rid of, and I must say Margie was at that meeting. We came out of it, it was such a positive meeting. It really was, and so many of our goals that we accomplished, we really worked hard this past year, and there's so many things we still want to accomplish, but I do want to mention we have a member of our committee, Mr. Paul Gapozzi, and he is also a parent, and he wrote such a nice email, and he also talked about how he has children in the system, and they participate in all of these things that we were talking about in our goals. He has a child in the VHS program, a child in the Federal Furnace TV program, a child in the after-school coding program. He coached robotics. And he said not only is it helpful with technology, but the social impact that it has on the children and the bonding that occurs during these programs is another added benefit to the technology. So it really was a great meeting. So before I turn it over to Carrie with Goal 1, I just want to mention that in Goal 1 is the EDTV program. And while I would love to sit here and tell you all about the great things that Dan Riley and his team are doing with his EdTV program, the social media, the elementary EdTV, I'm going to let it go to Dan because he's going to be coming in June to present to you. So we'll turn it over to Carrie with Goal 1.
Hi. So Goal 1 is learning, engage, and empower. So one of the big things we had was a survey was put out by Dr. Campbell in the fall for professional development, and a big focus that the staff wanted was technology. It's also going to be a driving force for us going forward into the 2016-2017 school year. As tech integration specialists, we've also started working with many staff members to have a technology goal as part of their SMART goals, so working along with that. We created the staff website for the Plymouth Public Schools with all kinds of resources. A huge part is Google, as we are a Google school. So there's a lot of, even if they're not as familiar with maybe Google Draw, or they're more familiar with Google Docs, or they can get more information about that and then even come talk to us as how they could integrate it into their classroom. There's also a lot of web-based tutorials. We also, at the secondary level, in Aspen, we created a Symbaloo, and Symbaloo is it's a bunch of tiles that give you direct links to certain things. So it's building based. So for instance, at PCIS, I have all the computer lab bookings for the Chromebook card bookings, our online databases that are available, our online subscriptions, and where to get that. And it's definitely tailored to the buildings, and it does appear in the staff portal when they enter into Aspen. There's also one for the elementary level for the students on the Chromebooks, so it's a lot easier than typing in the website and going everywhere. And Amy Canella and I are going to work on doing one at the secondary level for the middle school students. Then we have the program updates, especially with the gaming program that went in at Plymouth North High School. So in the fall of 2015, we had Evolution of Gaming with 3 classes, Animation with 3D Modeling, which had 1 class of 19 students, and Intro to Gaming. In the spring, they added Game Design and Intro to Gaming. And so with the project in 2016, 2017, at the high school level, they're looking at 240 students, and there will be 5 classes per semester with 120 students. Last summer, there was some coding workshops and summer camps available. They had the game design, Game Maker and Game Salad, which are also being offered this summer. And at PCIS, we did an after-school gaming club with the Game Design and the Game Maker through the Zulama platform in hopes of getting more interest for the high school level. And Plymouth South Middle School used Scratch as a coding program. In December, over 4,800 students in Plymouth Public Schools took part in the Hour of Code throughout the district in various classes, not just with us. Another big push at definitely the secondary level, and I even saw it in Nathaniel Morton, is the tech integration specialist working with the librarian and the literacy specialist. So there's various things we did. At PCIS, I worked with the librarian, and we did it right after the Tech Choice service, so teachers could get more of an update of, oh, we saw the online databases, or we saw this, and then they were able to get more information right away as opposed to a month or so later. And the virtual high school. So there are AP courses at the middle school level, electives, and academic acceleration. I believe they all just took their final for the virtual high school in this level. The platform is VHS and Adventum, and as Julia said, that it's in their 14th year. So that's it for Goal 1.
Thank you,
Good.
Carrie.
You're welcome.
Goal 2 is assessment, and that'll be done by Stephanie.
So I'm just going to touch on some of the most important points addressing our assessment goal. First of all, we had originally, as part of our plan, decided to develop 2 separate assessments, one to assess students and the other to assess staff technology skills. And we've actually tabled the development of those measurements based on the fact that the Massachusetts DESE has recently released a much-needed updated draft of the student technology standards, and ISTE has also just introduced a new draft as well. However, despite this, the elementary technology integration specialists, we met last summer and developed a year-long curriculum so that we would have consistency throughout the district at the elementary level. And that was based on the existing standards. So we're going to continue with that. Obviously, the students have been being assessed using that curriculum. And our plan is to, of course, sort of meet on a yearly basis to sort of look at that curriculum. And as tools change and as these standards are updated, we'll obviously be continually, working with that curriculum to improve that. I also want to discuss the professional development aspect of this goal. And as Julia mentioned, one really exciting thing that we did this year was we were able to offer the entire district a technology choice in service. There was one for both secondary and elementary. And as Julia said, I believe there were 45 different tech choice sessions that were offered. And they included just about everything you could possibly imagine, from iPad apps to coding, to assessment, to obviously to many of our Google tools and Google-related apps. trainings on district-wide subscriptions like Discovery Ed and Brain Pop. And I think what was sort of most exciting about that is obviously with 45 sessions, there aren't enough of us tech integration specialists to have presented that. And so the fact that so many teachers and staff members stepped up to participate and lead, I think is just really exciting to me because, there's only so much we can do. So I feel like that's really our job, is to empower the staff and the teachers to feel confident and to be able to participate in that way. And I thought that was a really exciting testament to what we've been doing. And I believe you touched on some of the other things, so I think that pretty much covers Goal 2.
Thank you. Goal 3 is teaching. Jeff?
Hello. I'm going to discuss teaching, preparing and connecting. The great thing about being in this role, working with teachers and technology, is that it's always evolving. So strengthening professional development opportunities for teachers is always an interesting and new task. You're always on the edge. If you notice that Nathaniel Morton, when they spoke about the cutting edge technologies and collaboration tools that they're using, for each tool you see out there, there's another 20 tools that do the same thing, and figuring out which tool is right for the task is a big part of what we do, reaching out and finding ways to help students learn better and teachers to communicate instruction to parents and students alike. So obviously we've had a big role in the professional learning communities, getting involved in taking that opportunity to work with folks who are working on individual goals or group goals towards improving their instruction. And as we mentioned, the Tech Choice sessions, which were very popular this year. We've had sessions for new teachers at the secondary level, new teacher trainings in the summer and mid-year, and open house at the middle schools. The technology integration specialist did a presentation for parents. Department meetings and in-service for departments is also a big component of what we do on a weekly basis. 3.2, Goal 3.2 is a strengthening family and community connections. And this is a big component of where technology can bridge the gap between parents, students, and teachers, and each direction in that circle. So Julia published a data safeguarding our students, Google Apps for Education, for the school committee, and then ultimately Plymouth Public Schools and families, which is a really important document helping parents to understand what we're doing as a community of instructors, teachers, and leaders to protect their children while they're in our schools, which becomes more and more important as the kids get involved more and more with technology in their hands. So in addition to that, successfully published a link to Comcast Internet Essentials program on the Plymouth Public Schools website if you're looking for that. That is accessible under the Families and Communities link. Manomet International Night featured many technology projects, as well as the West Elementary Math Night, which included the technology integration specialist presenting Hour of Code to Parents, which we spoke a little bit about. Middle school open house, parent workshops were offered on Aspen, which is our student information system, grades, information about students. They followed up with email attachments, and PCIS through that follow-up and instruction, had 95% of their families participating, able to obtain their own parent portal in a username in Aspen, so they can keep track of their child and watch the assessment, and have some accountability in that nature. And 95% is amazing. Trying to get 95% of anybody to do anything is impressive. So getting that many folks on the parent portal, which is very important, is great. In addition, they talk, Nathaniel Morton, that group talked a little bit about removing any barrier between the content and communications between parents, teachers, students, and opening up transparency to curriculum. And so we're working constantly with creating newsletters. Teachers are making websites, a lot of social media integration, including Remind, websites, Twitter, email, so on, in Aspen. And the technology integration specialist volunteered at a very successful robotics rally for the elementary schools, which was a great intro. The students got to see what it looks like at the high school and incorporate technology and engineering a little bit into what they're doing in the school. It's good stuff. And finally, Dr. Maestas was able to bring in Katie Greer to visit the middle schools and the high schools to visit and talk about internet safety, which is extremely important. And they also were able to, in April, the elementary schools were able to have her come as well, which is great. And finally, as this as technology evolves, so does the professional development of them. So we're sort of reworking the teacher supporting technology. We have 39 of those folks working throughout the district to supplement instruction and professional development, and we're reworking that to meet the needs of, through the feedback that we talked a little bit about. Teachers would like a modular opportunity to do some self-paced professional development when it comes to technology. So hopefully next year at this time we'll be talking about that, successful implementation of that as well. So stay tuned. It's always evolving.
Thank you. Goal 4, infrastructure.
Good evening. Goal 4, infrastructure. I'll start off with just highlighting a few updates to this goal. The updating of our data switches. Updating of our data switches is dependent on E-rate Category 2 funding approval. At this time, we have selected our vendor quotes, made our selection, and successfully submitted our paperwork for E-rate review and approval. We hope to have approval and start work the summer of 2016. Wireless access points. We've started replacing our wireless access points through some of the schools in the district, South Middle School, PCIS, and South High School. The APs going to South High School will see this next school year through, then be removed and repurposed elsewhere in the district. North High School, AP replacement and upgrading will begin hopefully this summer with E-rate approval. Centralized printing. Centralized printing, the software license agreement at North High School right now that currently handles our centralized printing in the district is up. And we're evaluating a cost-effective replacement. This replacement would allow for centralized printing not only at North High School but throughout the district, and also allow for seamless integration with the new high school coming online in 2017. This would allow for the ID badge printing and also print auditing on all printers throughout the district. That's pretty much it.
So the future, as Jeff mentioned, one of the big things that we're working on is we're trying to come up with a professional development model. We're kind of making it gamified for the teachers, and it's going to be self-directed so that they could do it on their own. So we're going to see how that goes, but we're also including in that, we're going to make it based on like projects, not the tool, but the projects. You know, how are you going to collaborate with your students? So we're getting them to think more, of redefining their classroom. We're also going to include in that, how would you do this if you were in a one-to-one environment? We want the teachers to start thinking about that as we think about moving forward, and one day, hopefully, we will be that one-to-one. So we want teachers to start thinking about how they would do those projects. And as always, technology is always changing. So we are continually updating, keeping ourselves busy. And any questions?
Anybody have any questions or comments? Ms. Badger?
I actually have a quick question on the last point that you just made on the one-to-one. I was at a meeting, our district, not too long ago, and it was a couple people who are on one-to-one districts, and there were some who are like us who aren't quite there yet. And there was some discussion on some pushback on one-to-one, like some districts are going to one-to-one and they're not, I don't know, happy with it. It's not working, like they're finding that the kids aren't staying focused, and they're using it for, there's a lot of also like legal things. So when they take that computer home and they do X, Y, and Z with it, how is that like protected by the district and things like that? And I'm just wondering if you've heard anything. It was the first time I'd heard anything about one-to-one not being a positive thing.
I have heard some districts talk about like BYOD,
Yeah.
that it wasn't successful because the kids just want to bring their phones in. So, you know, we are going to be visiting a district in June. Actually, a lot of the people at this table of a district that has gone one-to-one just to talk to them. But I have heard different things about securing the laptops. I have heard some things where if you're buying it, some of the districts have chosen to keep them on site and not let the students take them home. But I don't know if we can secure them that when they go home that they're still secure. I think we secure them on our network. And, you know, it's up to the parents when they go home.
It's also pretty early on in the progression and planning, stages. I think there's a lot of precedent out there for successful programs and a lot of lessons learned by those successful programs from those unsuccessful programs. And just like any other tool, it's how you wield it, and the teachers in the classroom and the parents at home.
Yeah.
And Jeff actually found a really great site. We've found a lot of great sites of people that have gone one-to-one and their progression, and you really have to be prepared to do it. So we've started looking at it just so we know what's before us.
Thank you. It was the first time I'd heard it being a negative thing, so thank you.
Dr. Sorensen?
Great presentation, thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to make a comment, because there are still, and the numbers are getting smaller, but there are still students in the district who don't have internet at home because they can't afford it, and they don't have smartphones, and they don't have cell phones. So it's just something that we need to be aware of all of the time. Just a comment, thank you.
Right, we did put that up on our website, the Comcast, the Internet Essentials program. I think that has even come down in price recently, but I know we still have that.
Any other questions or Ms. Hunt?
Just to piggyback on what Michelle said, I know there are programs, but again, they're expensive that you can secure. You know, there's different things that you can buy for that, and I just noticed. I mean, you know, I work with this all over the state, and I've never seen, like everybody has their own version of what one-to-one looks like. So I think we just need to figure out what works best for us, and I think it's great that you're going out there and looking at other districts, because I haven't come across two districts that do the same thing. I mean, there's just so many different versions of it. And the BYOD, again, the kids, you know, part of the main push for this with all the districts is the testing, and the kids can't do it on a tablet or on their phone. So you've got to, it's a really hard thing to figure out.
It's very complex.
Any other comments, questions? Very good. Thank you for the update.
Thank you.
Now, English Language Arts, we get our update on that. See Dr. White.
And we have Dr. White. Welcome, Dr. White.
Welcome. Oops. Thank you for having me. This is a test of your endurance tonight, right? So in the past, I have had some members of my team here. Tonight, it's just me, which, given the time, probably isn't a terrible thing. But I do want to say that I obviously represent a lot of teachers and specialists that put in a lot of work towards making our program work. So you'll see some examples of that, hopefully. Oh, I can do this. So what I wanted to focus on tonight is a theme that we've had going sort of throughout the department, which is vertical alignment. It's something we always think about. It's something that I always think about in my role as coordinator. But I really wanted this year to make it very, very apparent to all of the teachers in the ELA department and also to the public that everything that we do in terms of reading, writing, listening, speaking, these skills all build upon one another. Every standard that we have in kindergarten, we have in 12th grade. They really are the same kinds of things we're working on. What changes is the level of text, complexity, the sophistication of what we're asking our students to do, and in some cases, the proficiency or mastery level. But essentially, we're still talking about the same basic skills. So to give an example, if we start in kindergarten, from the very beginning, we're working on building strategic independent readers. And there's an anchor chart of readers using superpowers. That's a unit that our kindergarten students do where they learn all the superpowers that you have to become a good reader. And from the beginning, we're really focusing on decoding, fluency, and comprehension. And you can see some examples of students, particularly at this level, they do a lot of paired reading, a lot of conversations with one another about what they're reading. They share strategies and ideas. So again, this starts very early on. And that takes us through high school. We're doing the same kinds of skills. What we're looking at the high school level is, an application of these skills to multiple texts. We want to see that they can utilize all that they've learned and apply it to whatever it is that they're reading, whatever it is that they're writing. And we do focus at the high school level on really a balance between anchor texts, which may be more of the core canon, and also more modern texts, diverse texts, young adult literature. And what we see with that, as I go to the next slide, is we really want to focus on the power of choice. We know how important that is, that students have some choice in what they're doing. There has been a lot of studies around high school students, and there's one in particular that Penny Kittle does, and she interviews students, and there's a percentage of students who go through high school and they never have finished an actual book. And some of these are students who are passing and doing quite well, but they skim and they scan and they read Spark Notes, and if what's happening in the classroom isn't requiring them to be active in their learning, I see some smiles over there, then that's what can happen. And so we don't want that. We don't want to have our students able to not read in high school, particularly in our English classes. So again, we really want to change that by ensuring that we are hooking our students with pairing texts. Maybe we take a look at, as I showed back here, how does our independent reading connect to our anchor text, Macbeth? So what are the themes of something like Macbeth? But how does those same themes, how do they apply to books that the students are choosing to read? So you can have that balance of going back to those books we want the students to have that familiarity with, but also seeing how it applies beyond just Shakespeare. And then in writing, there are 3 types of writing: narrative, informational, and argumentative. And again, we start building these skills from the very beginning. So you'll see a kindergarten chart that is talking about opinion writing and what you need to do to write a good opinion piece. I saw some great examples in a recent classroom. They were writing to the bus driver to convince the bus driver, giving their opinion that the 4th and 5th grade students really should behave more like the kindergarten students on the bus, and be more polite and more quiet. And they gave some very good reasons as to their opinion on that topic. The middle one is from a 5th grade room, how to write a persuasive speech. So again, it's not just your opinion, but now you're trying to persuade someone or convince them, give them reasons why to believe what it is you want them to believe. And then in high school, we gradually progress to true argumentative writing, where they have to have claims, they have to have evidence, they have to have counterclaims, they have to know what the other side is going to say and be able to refute that. It's not just your opinion, it's what others have said about that topic. So again, you see that these skills are really building from the very early ages. Presenting and performing, we want our students to be able to share what they know in many, many ways. Speaking and listening, both formal and informally. And you'll notice that there's a green screen there, really focusing on using technology as a tool, not as the end-all be-all, but as a tool for communicating and sharing what you know. And I'll speak to this a little bit more when I talk about one of our featured speakers that we brought to the district. Cross-grade student collaboration is so important. We've had lots of projects in the district recently where the first and last slide, 8th grade class worked with 3rd graders on projects that they had done. We have book buddies of 1st graders and 5th graders in our elementary schools. Again, you want students being able to share what they know with someone else, so it's an authentic experience. And then the younger students are learning from their older peers. So again, trying to encourage that, that reading and writing connection across the grades. This I just had to include because I just loved it. This is actually in one of the kindergarten units we talk about sharing our reading, and this is a kindergarten student who is reading to her dolls. I don't know if you can see them in the chairs, but she is practicing her reading skills to her dolls. We talk about doing that with your pets and stuffed animals and younger brothers and sisters. So again, it's that idea of building authentic literacy skills. You heard a lot tonight and saw a lot tonight about technology. You obviously have heard about the increase in the use of Chromebooks in particular and iPads. And what's nice is that they're using the technology for reading purposes, to compose, but then also to create. They're creating presentations. They're not just writing a paper, or typing a final draft. They're actually creating projects and videos and voice threads to share what they know. So we've seen a lot of use of the technology. We've done a lot with Google Docs and Google Classroom. A lot more in the past 2 years than I've seen since I've been here. This is one thing I wanted to highlight. Storia is a program that we brought to the district this year from Scholastic. It is an ebook program. So we have over 2,000 books that the students can read online. We have unlimited access at school and at home, so those titles can be read at the same time. We don't have a takeout policy where you have a limit to that. It records reading activity in progress. You can see at the bottom a couple of parents' comments from kindergarten. Ella came home all excited about a new website they got to try in the computer lab. Hannah was asking me, what's her access code? So again, they're getting excited about that. I don't know is there a way of playing a little bit of that clip or? Yes. The great thing, as many people have mentioned tonight, is with all of the EDTV, we have coverage, just like a news organization. We have coverage of all of these things in the district, which is really nice. So I'm not sure how much time we'll have, but maybe show a clip. This is a story that Cold Spring EDTV News did on Storia.
New this year, students across the district have access to a digital library program called Storia. We stopped by Mrs. Egan's 3rd grade class to see the program in action.
The information here to see does this suit my purpose.
To learn more about the Storia, we talked with Mrs. LaCoy White and Mrs. White.
Storia is basically an online library. So there's an electronic collection of all kinds of different titles about all different topics and in different genres that students have access to.
Real life published books that you can buy and hold in your hand, but that have been put into a digital format so students can read them online on a computer or a tablet. I wanted to bring Storia to Plymouth because we are increasingly using technology in many different ways, and one of those ways is in our reading material. But I also wanted to bring it because it brings us 2,100 titles of books to every student in Plymouth that we would not normally have.
The program sounded exciting, and we wanted to learn more about the books that Storia has.
There are all kinds of different formats of books. There's different genres, so you can find there's some video clips on here that match books. There are graphic novels, there are scripts, speeches, and there's just such a large collection that every student can have their own personal collection of books, and they can have the same book at the same time, which will make it very easy for students to be able to read a lot and anywhere that they are.
So reading on a screen is in some ways different and in some ways the same from reading print. You use a lot of the same strategies, but it is a different format, and there are certain things that we want our students to practice, certain skills we want them to practice of reading on a screen that are different from reading on a text. So for example, digital texts allow you to highlight words and listen to them being pronounced if you're not sure. It allows you to make notes right on the screen about what you're reading, which is similar to a sticky note in a book. It allows you to do some different things that we want our students to have practice learning how to do.
Teachers can use Storia in school, but we also found out it can be used by students at home as well.
Storia can be used in classrooms during independent reading time. Students can read online while other students are reading a print text. It can be used by a teacher to do a mini lesson. It can be used in a small group reading group. So there's lots of ways that it can be used in the classroom. There are also lots of records that we can pull that show us how often a student is reading, how many pages they've read at a time, how many words they looked up in the dictionary. So there's lots of great information about the level of the reading the students are doing, but also their ability to sustain attention to reading and also what they like to read. We get to see all of the choices that students make in terms of what they really like to read. And then the other exciting piece of it is that students can read these books when they're at home or even when they're maybe in the car or visiting a relative. Because it's online, they can access those texts from anywhere. So it's a great way to carry over the reading that students are doing in school to home.
We asked what students and families should know about Storia.
If a family has a tablet, they can read Storia anywhere there's wireless networks available to them. They can be at a friend's house, they can be at grandma's house, and they can read the books that are in their personal collection.
Families should know that it is available and accessible to all students, K through 5 students in Plymouth. And I think it's a great way to encourage conversations between parents and children about what they're reading and what they enjoy reading.
We asked students about their experience with Storia. Today we learned about Storia, and there's a lot of books, and especially a lot of puppy books, what I love, puppies. I'm going to go on my iPad and put in everything I need to go to read my books, and maybe put it to read my 20 minutes every night. And most importantly, we asked their favorite part. There's a huge book selection. I liked it because if you really want a book, you're at a store and your mom says no, or your dad, you can just go on Storia and you can read that book. We are excited to share that the Storia program is available not just for students at Cold Spring, but for all elementary schools in Plymouth. This has been Jalen Cologne reporting for Cold Spring News.
So they do a better job of explaining it, the kids do. But it's been very successful. We've had a lot of positive feedback. As I said, it is accessible. They have a code that they enter, and they can pull up their own library. So they add books. There's certain books that are accessible to everyone, and then the teachers also add books, particularly at the lower grades. They may add a set of books at their particular reading level. So there's lots of ways you can kind of tailor it to each particular student. And they can do it, as I said, in the library, anywhere, it's accessible anywhere where you can get internet. So it's been great. We're looking forward to continuing that program next year. One thing we wanted to just briefly talk about PARC, and I think this one statement kind of says it all. Teachers report that their students were well prepared for the rigors of PARC because the reading, writing, and thinking demanded by these tests is what we do all year long. And that really is our goal. Our goal is that we teach to the standards. We teach our curriculum, which is aligned to the standards. And if we do that, our students should be successful on the assessments that measure those standards. So whatever the assessment changes, however it changes over time, the goal really is that we have students who know how to read and write proficiently. And as I said, the assessment is one way of measuring that, but we're very aware of the need to limit our focus, that we're not teaching to the test, we're teaching to prepare students to be successful on the assessment. So that was a nice quote I think a teacher gave us about that. And so really our goal is to have our students be successful in high school and beyond. These are just some statistics that show the work that we've been doing. We have very high numbers of students enrolled in our AP Language and AP Literature courses at the high school. We continue to increase enrollment, and the nice thing is even with the increased enrollment, we still have high numbers of students who are achieving the high scores. So we're making the courses more accessible, and we're also allowing students to be very successful in those courses. So we're happy about that. We've had 9 Plymouth juniors receive the NCTE Writing Award over the past 10 years. You'll actually hear about another one next meeting. We have another winner this year. So we've been, we're very proud of that. We really have emphasized writing in the district, and it shows that we have students who are being very successful in that area. And 94% of our high school students scored advanced or proficient on MCAS in 2015 for ELA. We actually have discontinued having to have MCAS tutor for ELA because we don't have enough students to warrant having a tutor who for kids who have not passed. So that is very exciting for us to not need that. Learning from the experts, we do try to bring people into the district to share new knowledge with our teachers. We were very fortunate this year to have a couple of people. One was Eric Palmer, who you may have heard me speak about last year. Last year he spoke to the high school staff about speaking and listening skills, and this year he came and spoke to the middle school staff. And next year he's coming to talk to elementary. So we'll have a nice, consistent message around that. I encourage you to look at his website. He has a website called PV Legs, which is an acronym for the categories of skills students need to think about when they're presenting. He really talks a lot about the need to teach our students how to speak and how to listen, not just to assess that. We tend to assess speaking, but we don't always spend enough time teaching the skills of speaking, how to be an effective speaker. And it really is a life skill. I think that obviously tonight was a good example of the need to have good speaking and listening skills, but we really want to make sure that our students are prepared in that area. I think in the past we've tended to opt students out of presenting at times, and he always says, do we opt them out of, reading or writing or, math or some of these other things? And I think that it's really important that we teach our students how to be a more effective speaker. And his work has been very well received by our staff. We have a lot of PV Legs posters hanging everywhere, and students who are really learning how to be better at presenting what they know. We also had Ralph Fletcher visit. Ralph Fletcher is a very prolific children's author. He's written numerous picture and chapter books over the years. He also is a professional researcher for teachers of writing. So he came and he spoke to all of our 4th, 5th, and 6th graders about writing, the writing process. And he also did a workshop for our teachers on reaching boy writers. We tend to find that we have a higher number of boys who are not as engaged with writing, and so he's written books on that topic and gave some really good strategies for how to engage our boys in the writing process. So he was very well received. The other thing we did this year, and this goes along with my focus on alignment, is teacher visits, teacher-to-teacher visits. So I instituted this sort of, I don't know if it's a program, but this initiative, I guess, of really having teachers visit other teachers. And so I had elementary teachers that went to other elementary schools. I had middle school teachers go to elementary and high school. High school went to elementary and middle school. So it really was a way of showing what I see every day, which is that these are skills that we start to teach, all through elementary school and through middle and high school, and they really had a chance to see that in action. They often say, oh, they've never seen this before, they've never learned this before, and I say, yes, they have, yes, they have. So they had a chance to really see that, in fact, students are doing these things at all different grade levels. And so we had 35 teachers take part in this. It was completely voluntary. We just had to arrange substitute coverage for them. They were able to have a preview session, watch, spend some time in a classroom, and then debrief. And you'll see, just have examples up there. You'll see from the feedback that it was very, very well received. I just had a meeting today, and teachers were asking if we could do this again next year. I love the quote when she says, I learned more from observing a colleague than I have in many graduate courses. I think that's true in many ways. You can hear about something, but seeing it in action really makes a difference. So it's been a really great opportunity to show the work that we're doing across the district. And to end on a high note, celebrations and accomplishments. Just to give you a peek at some of the things that happened throughout the year. Read Across America Day is always a fun day in March when students do lots of literacy activities. They read books, they have community reader days. You can see they like to dress up in the Dr. Seuss paraphernalia. Title I had a program this year for Dr. Seuss Day. Again, just an opportunity to celebrate literacy. This was another event that we had this year. I know that some of you may have a copy of the book. I brought a copy with me if anyone hasn't seen it. So this was a project that we started with Plymouth UK. They had been doing an anthology the last few years, and they asked if we would like to collaborate. So last year we sent them some pieces that our students did. And this year we came up with our own anthology. We had, I think, 34 student writers and 27, I think, artists who contributed to the book. So students submitted pieces and were selected to appear in the anthology. And then our high school AP art students read the pieces, selected one that they liked, and created a piece of artwork to go along with the piece. And it was really a great collaboration. Our book includes 11 pieces from Plymouth UK, and we sent 10 of our pieces over to them, and they included them in their anthology. So it's a across the pond collaboration. I did include a link for you to you can watch later. I won't show it to you now, but there is a video link. We were the clip of the week, I think, last week, showing the celebration that we had where we recognized all of the students. So this is an annual thing. We'll be doing this again next year. I think all of you know how successful our journalism program has been at both of our high schools. Panther TV and PNN have won numerous awards over the last 5-6 years. I want to highlight that those are classes in the English department. And English teachers run those journalism classes, and I think it's a credit to the hard work that they do with those students that these programs have been so successful. Because it's not just about the filming and the editing, although that is a big part of it. It's also about learning journalistic techniques, learning how to write stories, learning how to identify your resources to get information. So there's really a lot that goes into that program, and I just want to congratulate them on being so successful every year. And we've also had some nice recognition from outside sources. We've been asked by Reading Public Schools and Randolph Public Schools if they can come and visit to learn about some of what we're doing in our elementary literacy program. We also we were invited to a Blue Ribbon Conference that Reading hosts. We were asked to present at that conference about some of the models that we put in place for literacy at the elementary level. And then Lesley University, their literacy leadership team came to meet with us in the fall to talk about some of what we've been doing, particularly around reading recovery and our success with reading recovery, but also about just instituting reading and writing workshop at the elementary level. Irene Fountas, whose picture is up there, she's very well known in the field of literacy, and she was part of that visit. So I think it was a nice boost for our teachers to see that they were coming to ask what we thought they should focus on in their research. And just to conclude, during Poetry Month, we were creating these spine poems, they're called. It's when you take books and you line up the titles and you make a poem out of them, which was really fun. We had some contests, actually, for students to come up with great spine poems. And this really just sort of symbolizes what I look for and what we believe in the department. So good to great teaching, creating the opportunity to learn, differentiation, comprehension and collaboration, and with rigor for all. So that summarizes what the ELA department is striving for. Is there any questions?
Yep, Ms. Hunt.
I have a comment and a question. When you were talking about giving the children choices, I know you said you saw, I was shaking my head because I have firsthand experience with children that don't necessarily read for pleasure, which amazes me, but anyways. I think engagement is the key to it, and I've noticed in my own household that when they reach the high school level and they can start taking those half-year electives where it's more engaging for them, it's something that's more of a topic that they enjoy, they start to see them reading more, and I think I think by giving them all those choices for books at the younger ages, that's kind of the mini version of what they're getting at a senior level.
Yes.
I've also noticed that there are several teachers that are fantastic with like authentic assessment. I know I met a couple of them at the Summer Institute where they get the kids performing plays in the classroom. My daughter's teacher has a stage built into her room, and I think that that's huge, and I think it's wonderful to see them get engaged. My question is on Storia. I think that's awesome. Is that going to be available to the students over the summer, and can summer reading be rolled into it?
Two-part question. The answer for summer is yes. We were just talking to the representative the other day about that. The current subscription that we have goes through the mid-August. So basically, the students will have access in their current codes through August 15th. So there will be about a 2-week period before the new year starts where they won't, because we need to give new access codes when they get back to school. But yes, for the majority of the summer, they will be able to access that, which is great. And in terms of summer reading, yes, at the elementary level, we have summer reading, but we don't have a set list. We have recommendations and authors and series and things like that. So absolutely, a student could read books from Storia for their summer reading.
How easy is that going to be for the parents? That's amazing.
Very easy, yes.
Great. Can you negotiate with the company to get it extended for 2 weeks? I bet you could.
I might be able to.
Having experience in that department,
We haven't renewed officially yet, so
I say that you make that
we could do that.
condition of your renewal.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Thank you.
Ms. Badger?
I just wanted to say that you saw me smile. The only book I didn't get through was Beowulf. I couldn't do it. Sorry.
I believe you.
It was rough.
But the PV Legs, we were talking in
Yes.
that Plymouth South Middle School School Council, and it was like the entire conversation. Everyone was really enjoying it. I was like, what is this? And they explained it to me, and it sounds like such a cool, it's a good concept, you know, to be
Yes.
able to show the kids exactly how to do it.
Yes.
So.
Yes, it's not mysterious.
No.
You know, and if you say, you know, work on voice, what does that mean to work on voice?
And they know.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
and I guess they're telling each other to work on different
Yes.
pieces in some of the classes. So
Yes.
That was really good.
Great. That's great.
What's the cost? What's the cost of the Storia?
Storia? It's per student by school, so it depends on the size of the elementary school. I don't have it right in front of me, but it's one of the most reasonable ones out there. There are a lot of platforms out there. But one of the things we were really looking for at the elementary level was user-friendly, because again, you want kindergarten students to be able to get on and know how to use it, and also parents that can help them with it. But also, we really were looking for something that had that unlimited access. A lot of the platforms, only 20 can read the book at the same time, and we wanted it to be a complete unlimited access. So I can get you the actual figures.
Okay. When you were looking at the libraries and what the library of the future looks like,
Yes.
we brought this up in
Yes.
a lot of our little
Yes.
conversations, our subgroups.
You'll be hearing about that in 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
The public library right now has an extensive
Overdrive,
ebooks.
yes.
Overdrive is, I was reintroduced to it a few months ago, and from where they were a few years ago to now, there's no comparison.
Yes.
I mean, you can go in and look at thousands of titles of books, and they're the current books. I mean, do we have an effort where we're kind of like, we used to do this years ago with kids, we used to take them to the library, get them their cards and everything else. And I don't know if we drifted away from that, but do we have an awareness program in effect? And I know you're going to tell us more about the libraries later on, so.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I'll be back in a couple of weeks for that. It was, thank goodness we're not doing it all in one night. But yes, the answer is yes, that we've been working very closely with the public libraries about helping to publicize the resources that the public libraries have. In fact, we talked about having one of the choice sessions for the different levels next year for professional development be like a field trip to the library where the public librarians would talk to teachers about what is available and make connections for students to get library cards, let them know about the ebooks, that kind of thing.
And it's a good thing you mentioned with the summer reading and everything. It's a good thing for parents, all parents, to know that that's a
Yes.
free resource.
Yes.
Sitting out there with current books, and it's very extensive.
Yes.
And they don't have to fight for the 1 or 2 copies they have. on hand.
Exactly.
No,
That was the
because-
key.
That's the part.
Yeah, because again, you're talking a first grader, they go through 5 books a day. They're small. They're not novels. So you have to be able to have that
Yeah.
unlimited access.
And our library system is the Old Colony Library Network, which
yes.
allows you, it goes across the whole, region.
Yes.
So
It's pretty good.
it's very good. So, excellent.
Can I just ask one more?
Yep.
Do any of our schools do Read Across America?
Yes.
They do?
Yes.
Which
Yes,
is
in
a,
March.
yeah, they read so many books and get reward or points.
Oh, you mean the program?
Yeah, do any of them do
They
that?
they have a summer program usually.
Yeah.
NEA has a summer
Okay.
program that, yes, we do publicize that
Yeah, okay.
for students.
Very good. Thank you for the update.
Thank you.
It's very
Thank you.
good.
Oh,
Do we have another question? No. All right, that's the end of our program updates. So now we're just going to go into some of our normal topics like the annual committee matters, fiscal year 17 school committee meeting dates. Thank you. Anybody see anything that jumped out at them that they didn't realize or want to change? Questions pertaining to? Nothing? Good. All right. So that looks good.
that retreat date looks good. We'll see how that goes later on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go, see? You say it.
Good.
The retreat dates. Is everybody okay with the retreat
see, I
dates?
can't-
October 6th, I mean, August 6th.
August 6th
8/6.
No, I just usually have
and
people that
February
can't go.
4th.
It's an all-day.
It's on the, it's in the attachment.
What's the second date? Is that the date on there?
Attachment in the program.
Yeah, but I can't get
I know, but when you get home.
When I
On
get
there,
home, I
you'll-
can look it up.
Dr. Sorensen.
Kim, is
How am I
Shishigahama
gonna
people
be
still here on
here?
August 6th?
They are coming oh, wait a second.
Yeah.
No, wait. They're coming they're coming the 1st and leaving the 7th.
Yeah, so it's right in the middle
But-
of Shichiga.
But, I mean, that Saturday, I mean, it should be, I'm sure we'll be able to get away if we had to. And I'm gonna talk about that in my committee, because I wanted to ask you a question about that. But yeah, they're coming the 1st and leaving the 7th. And then they're actually gonna spend 2 days in Boston and really not leave until 2 days after that.
So my question was, sometimes there is an event scheduled on the last day or next to last day that we're
Yeah.
expected to be at.
Yeah, and we just started making the schedule. We have a rough outline, but we're just starting making it. And I'll share it as soon as I have something.
So why can the retreat move?
Well, you know,
I don't think let's not find out what
Yeah,
their
let's wait.
schedule is first before we start moving our schedule.
I have scheduled.
probably doable.
You're right, because I was thinking they would come in the 7th when I looked at this just now, but they're
Next week.
leaving the
Yeah.
7th.
Because of it.
Okay. And it's at Center Hill this year? We're not,
We don't know.
Actually, we're hoping to have a
Okay.
day at Center Hill, which is
Yeah, that's
what I need to ask you about.
on the 6th.
Yeah, why don't we
The
do it on the
afternoon.
6th, yeah.
Come after 3.
now we have an action item for the superintendent's annual performance incentive. As you know, we did his evaluation. Ms. Badger did a great job covering for me that night, and I appreciate that. But now we want to, he met or exceeded all of his objectives. So now we need to have a vote to fulfill his contract requirements, where he would get 500 per goal. Go ahead.
I move that we approve the incentives as stated in the contract.
Very good. Do I have a second? Second. I have a second. Mrs. Burgess seconds it. All those in favor, any further discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous. Okay. Our next thing is the fundraising activities. Did anybody see anything in the fundraising attachment that raised questions, concerns, updates?
La, la, la.
None? Okay.
He just looks at me.
Committee member reports. We'll start around the table.
I thought Kim had something.
I do,
She's done.
if you want, it's really quickly. I was gonna talk about the family thing, which you did. But I wanted to just give you a quick update. And I'm not online now, so this is gonna go from, not my notes. We did have a Distinguished Visitors Committee meeting last week, and we started to outline a rough draft of the schedule. They're not here for very long, so we think that it's gonna be filled up pretty quickly. So what I'd like to do, maybe, Dr. Maestas, is when you have some time, come in and meet with you and just go over some of the things that they're looking to the school for. There is a focus on, I think I mentioned last time, they are bringing 3 teachers with them. The new mayor is focusing really strongly on international education. They're going to be exposing the kids at a really early age to foreigners and English and other languages. I am still looking for, I think, 3 host families for students and 1 for a teacher. I've had a lot of the students that went last summer, as well as one of the teachers come forward and offer to host. So we'll move on to that next phase. I've tried to work with that group first. But we are looking to, one of the most successful events last time they were here was the painting at Stevens Field with Liz Rio. And I sent an email asking them what they liked, what they didn't like, and that was one of the ones that they all loved. So they want to do that again. I think Stevens Field is going to be under construction. So we're hoping maybe we could do that
think so.
at Center Hill.
No, Stevens Field will not.
Not by then.
No, not by then. Well, so anyways, just another reason why we were thinking maybe we could do that at Center Hill is they do want to have an opportunity for the teachers to meet with teachers and maybe have some kind of a workshop or a discussion around that. And we thought maybe that would be a good thing to have on the same day, so the students could do their art project and we could have meetings in the meeting room downstairs at Center Hill. And I know last time we actually provided the food for that, and they were hoping that maybe we could do that again. So maybe it's something that I do have a list of things that they wanted me to talk to you about. Maybe we can meet.
Easy. That's easy. That's
So-
an easy ask, yep.
But other than that, we're still in the process of planning. The Pilgrims are done with their season by the time they get here. So we're actually thinking
that's too
about maybe
bad.
doing a Paw Sox game. So there are a few things, and I know Dr. Sorensen had offered, and I think we're going to take you up on that. We're going to do the cranberry make peace ocean spray again because the students really liked that as well. So we're
They-
getting
they-
there. It's a hard process to that schedule's not easy to do, but we're gonna, and they're gonna stay at the Governor Carver again because the 1620 is already booked.
Yeah.
It's possible that they could even draw outside. I mean, they did,
Well, draw outside at Center Hill, that's what we were thinking.
Plenty of
They could
places
draw
there, yeah.
outside on the beach area while the teachers meet. Maybe, I think if we want teachers to participate, we're probably gonna have to recruit that now before they make summer plans. And hoping maybe Dr. Campbell could help us with
The
that.
more information we have,
Walk down the
the
beach at Center Hill?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
yep. I
So-
cleaned that path up. When they come, we'll make sure it's clean and be
Yeah,
able to
yeah.
walk down, yeah.
Yeah, and it is, the new mayor is coming and the superintendent
Doing
is
some special
coming.
reception because the mayor's
They
coming?
are gonna have a special reception,
okay.
probably at the plantation again.
Yeah.
It's gonna be limited invitations, but I think that we're in the process of making, I think
Okay.
everybody here will
Great.
be invited.
Very good. Anything else?
That's it for me.
I have one item. Actually, it's probably more of an improvement area for the committee rather than a proposal. But it was sort of brought to my attention when I was rereading the superintendent's contract recently. And we all did an evaluation of the superintendent. We did individual evaluations, and then we handed them into the chair, and the chair created a composite. And that's the word that's in the superintendent's contract. The word is composite, which to me is sort of a compendium of all of our individual evaluation, and it's the responsibility of the chair. And I know, because I was the chair for a long time, to sort of represent the majority opinion of everybody. And my concern this year was the first time I ever saw the first person pronoun, I, in the evaluation. And I started to think about that once we begin to put individual, I feel this, or I believe that, into a compendium, it's no longer a compendium. It starts to represent individual opinions. And by contract with the superintendent, we have a responsibility to present the official evaluation, which I believe should represent all of our opinions, as opposed to an individual opinion. Now, it seems like a minor point, but when you think about it in depth, what can begin to happen if we sort of make that boundary amorphous is we can begin to evolve into 7 individual evaluations of the superintendent. And we really want to stay away from that. So my recommendation for next year is to make sure that whether it's the chair or the vice chair or the secretary, I think the superintendent's contract says the chair, I think it's very important that that evaluation represent the committee collectively. If somebody wants to write a minority opinion, they certainly can, but that's not the official recommendation. Evaluation. The official evaluation is the one that represents the collective thinking. So it's an area that I think we need to pay attention to, and so that we make that tool as effective as it should be. And so that's sort of my idea for next year. And
Are we talking about the overall, where did I do that?
in the very first paragraph on the first page.
The overall summary.
Yeah, yeah.
The overall summary, I put in a personal comment
Right.
with it. So.
Yeah, and this has nothing to do with you, Mr. Bakley. It's the fact that that instrument has to be collective and not
Right.
individual.
So the instrument did reflect everybody's input. We didn't get input from everybody, but the people that we did get input from, I tried to do that. Just in that first paragraph, I threw in
An individual
an
observation.
antidote there, an individual observation, because I also had input. So I shouldn't have used the
first person
saying
pronoun.
I, right. So I'll just watch that.
Yeah, because once we do that, everybody's going to want to do that 10 years from now.
I agree. It wasn't done intentionally.
No, I know that, but it sort of brought to my attention when I was rereading the contract, and I saw that the word composite is written in the superintendent's contract.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Any other, you have something to read?
Yep. If you wanna do
Go
it.
ahead.
Go.
Oh, you.
I got first of all, I went to a couple of things, like empty bowls.
I wanted to go to
That was
that.
so good.
I went last year.
I went last year, and this year was even better. Yeah, it was very nice. And the other thing that I went to was at South Middle School and saw Once on This Island. I'm not gonna bother with the junior. But they did such a good job, and Andrea Canavasi and Leah Tyler, who were the musical director, really did a fantastic job with the kids, because Once on This Island was mainly songs, music, yeah, and it was really a good performance. And the other thing I have is, which we probably all got, but I'm going to mention it, and I'm going to mention it in a little more detail because it's going to affect the public and the people who watch as well as us. But we're invited again to take part in the Plymouth Memorial Day Parade, and it's going to be Monday, May 30th, and we gather at 9 o'clock. This year, instead of meeting as we did in Town Square and then going out and up Samoset Street to the cemeteries and down Summer Street, that portion's been left out. We're going to meet right behind Memorial Hall. And from that point, it's going to go down that street to the waterfront, hook a left to the road and go around the Rotary and up Park Avenue to the lights. Then take a left toward Memorial Hall again. It sets the route on the main road, and they can stop then at the memorial at Memorial Hall. Then again at the training green for those veterans, at the World War I memorial at the bridge, and then go up the hill to the training green. This year they're going to use the Canadians that visit every year that come down. They're going to be the ones that are going to actually put the wreath down on the waterfront for the naval one this time. And I'm glad that they've included them actually in the ceremony. Yeah. But anyhow, so I guess we end up back at Memorial Hall in whatever kind of vehicle or whatever, wherever we park.
But we're still going up to the cemetery, or we're
No.
not doing
No
that
cemetery.
No, they're not doing it. They're going up and they're going straight across, just straight down Main Street to the green.
My niece would like that.
So they just felt that it's, and where they go in the cemetery is nice. It's all traditional. It was always done. But when I think about it, the area that they have the ceremony in and all is near Civil War, where the Civil War people are buried. But the Training Green Memorial is a memorial to the Civil War veterans, and they're listed on it. So they're not forgotten. The Civil War veterans are still there. So I don't think that it's a big deal, but it is a big deal if you're marching in it, to walk up there.
You mentioned the time, you didn't mention the time.
Oh, the time, yeah, 9 o'clock sharp, you have to be there. The parade steps off at 9:30. And but the free parking is only gonna be till noon for us. So we can park uptown, around there free, but until 12 o'clock, and then I think we'll be done by then. And the parade marshal, again, will be Dale Whitbeck, and Roxanne Whitbeck will be the MC for it. So, again, it's the Royal Canadian Legionnaires of Georgetown, Ontario that are there. Yeah, for that's all for now, yeah.
Thank you. Ms. Badger.
Okay. I just have, so the PMS Challenge Kids Ride, again, another commercial plug, but this time, I've got a little update. I don't think I had it last time. Those of us who are gonna be doing the Dream Ride, which is less than 20 days away, anybody else wanted to know that fact? It's from 9 to 12, and we're gonna actually do a lap with the kids. So it'll be a fun way to start it off on June 26th. So it'll be nice. And they're also gonna be at the end of the Dream Ride as well. So if people want to sign their kids up, they can do it there. Bless you.
It's June 26th, is the PMC.
June 26th, 9 to 12. And then, again, the usual Alumni Association meeting is on May 19th at 6 in the Remax building in the Benny's.
The drawing is gonna
And
be,
the drawing is at that meeting, right? Yeah.
so we might wanna plug
Oh,
that.
yes, the drawing. I don't know the details exactly. I mean, I do.
You want?
Go right ahead.
So the Alumni Association has secured 4 prime seats to both graduations.
Oh, yes.
Plymouth North and Plymouth South, 4 each. They are raffling the tickets off. They're $20 apiece. So parents of seniors, it's an awesome opportunity to get, especially I think at South, it's even a better,
Yeah.
because South seating is always so tough. The drawing is gonna be held this Thursday, so you have to get your raffle tickets in now. It's available at the website, which is plymouthalumni.net. And all of the proceeds, 100% of the proceeds will go towards scholarships for the students of both schools.
Yeah, in this year in like perpetuity, so it's not all going on
Right.
this year. And then the next thing is, last week I attended Dr. Meltzer's, when he passed away, people gave money to the library in his name for the No Place for Hate collection that he started. And I just wanted to let everyone know that there's hundreds of books and DVDs that you can watch now that are the No Place for Hate collection. So it'll be a really nice resource for the students, and I can't wait to get down there and rent out some books and some movies. So it looks really great. That's it.
Borrow, you don't have to rent them.
Oh yeah, well not rent, sorry, borrow, wrong word.
Very good. Anybody else? Anyone else want to make any comments?
A quick question. When are we going to cover committee assignments?
I was just about to put that into my thing. Anyone else over here? Any more comments? Okay, to Mr. Morgan's point, earlier this morning, this evening, I skipped over that unintentionally. So, as we all know, and to Mrs. Terselli, what we do is we have all the assignments are posted on the website that we currently have. We'll send around a copy to everybody. And we have a bunch of committees and subcommittees that we participate in, both on the town side, school side, and then we all rotate our school council assignments. And we act as liaisons to all the schools. We try to stay away from any schools where we have children in the school. It's not a hard and fast because there's only so many of us and we got to cover a lot of schools. So some years we have to bend a little there. But as a
Sometimes.
general rule, we try to not
Yeah,
do
because
that.
sometimes they're intimidated by the,
Right.
parent being on, yeah.
So anyway, what we do is I ask everyone here to give me their suggestions of what committees they would like to be on, participate in. The school councils just get rotated, but you might have a school that you haven't done yet, and you want to alert me to that. If you notice the spreadsheet that we'll pass around, I track it year over year, so we can see how the assignments have worked year over year. So we try to avoid, not getting to every school if possible. Dr. Sorensen?
I'm just learning something. I didn't realize you want us to change our school council association? Are you saying that's a recommendation?
I usually do that.
Okay, all right.
Every year, if
I
I
don't know,
see.
that escaped me somehow.
I
Okay.
usually do that. If you check the grid, you'll see that I check them off, and I always look across the years to see,
okay.
oh,
Right.
I want to make sure. I don't usually do more than 2 years in the same school. I try to rotate them around so everybody can do a high school and elementary, et cetera. Okay, so if you can just get me your preferences, if you have any, or if you just want to leave it up to me to decide, but if you have any preferences.
Could I have some time? Can I look into it a little
Sure,
bit? Okay.
sure. It wouldn't
I
be
don't
till the
have to
next
decide right now.
meeting.
Okay.
It wouldn't be till
No,
the.
we don't have to decide now.
Okay.
No.
No. It wouldn't be
Okay,
till the
let's
next
just, like,
meeting, yeah.
So my
Yeah, no,
choice
decide
is-
now.
Right.
No, we don't.
Right
do
now.
Could I ask you, when you send it out, to say when the school council meets? Because we have conflicting, conflicts with some of them.
That's always hard because it changes every year depending on how that principal's running their, remember we made a point of this last year about how we wanted to make sure that everything was done by a certain date. So this year, hopefully, will be a little more adhere to the structure of the
We on
policy.
the building committee, we've run out, so we need to vote.
What was that?
On the building committee, for the town, it has to go into them right away.
No, I know.
Yeah, okay, just on that one, yeah, okay.
I was just thinking about the changing on the council. There's probably a good reason for that. It's just escaping me right now. One of the reasons I was thinking that maybe it might make sense to stay on a council for 2 years is because a lot of the goals are 2-year goals.
Yep.
And I think, having been on South this year, we established some goals that we're going to carry forth next year. And I'm pretty excited about one of those goals. But I'm willing to change if the chair feels that.
No,
But I was just, what's the reason
Just
for that?
make me aware of arrangements
Yeah,
like that,
make-
just point it up to
Okay.
me. I do know that some of the schools do that. That's a relatively recent development. Years ago, they never did that, but we changed it because we said the goals were really overlapping school years, and we were making them artificially, say at the end of the year that it was accomplished or not accomplished. So we
Okay.
started doing that. So, yeah, if there's something that you feel, you really want to see it to its conclusion, that's the reason why we keep you on the building committee, because we have a school that's almost done.
Yeah.
So it would be silly to rotate at this point. It just wouldn't, it's almost done.
Okay.
So why would you do that? Now, as soon as it's done, that's when we will
Then
rotate.
that's when you can change it.
But yeah, so yeah, with the schools, we just like to, if you check that chart, you'll see that it's pretty consistent. You can almost see them
Thank you.
marking down. And it's interesting to watch. There's some, it builds an institutional memory, that spreadsheet, because, people come and go. And you want, committees come and go. So I try to keep track of the ones that have retired or we don't use them. Sometimes we reactivate a subcommittee. There's quite a few, so, and we're always trying to reevaluate them every year, whether we need it or
Need
not.
them or not, yeah.
I did mention at our last meeting, and you were busy elsewhere,
Yeah.
that I was thinking, and I presented to the committee, that we may not need to put a school committee member on the scholarship committee. The Holmes Tavernelli is a different issue. When that comes back up, I think school committee members belong there. But I'm thinking that on the scholarship committee that I've served the last couple of years, it's not necessary for us to be there.
And that's a good thing to hear, because the reason why we're sitting there is because a few years ago, we felt it was adrift. So if we've gotten to the point now where we feel it's back,
Yeah, he's the one that was adrift.
Right.
that's
well
good.
said.
That's good. So that's a perfect example of where we reevaluate whether we need to be there or not.
Okay.
Okay, good. So if you guys want to just get those to me, that'll be great. Did I miss anybody else? Was there anybody else that had? Okay,
I did, but I was gonna say the same thing Margie said,
okay.
just because of the north conflict that I had with the pack, so we can.
Okay. All right, so now the building committee.
Yep. Okay, we met on Thursday, May 12th, and Plymouth South High School, they said that they're about a little behind on the cash flow because of winter, where they're supposed to be at this time with it all. But it's going to catch up very quickly. And they're a little concerned about the kitchen contractor. They're not that's not performing, and I guess a legal notice has been sent. So, but they have a couple of people in the background that are willing to do it. So it's not an issue, but it's an issue for them at this point. But they're still having their weekly meetings and all. Everything's going well. It's coming up. It looks great. It's so massive when you go down back to the middle school. My gosh, it seems to go on forever, that school. It looks almost bigger than North.
Oh, it is.
It's longer.
It's longer, yeah.
There's no courtyard.
Yeah, yeah. So, okay, on the Sims house, they have plans and drawings, they're getting them completed. They're gonna be sent to the cost estimator. They're now worried about the bearing wall that's holding up the stairs in the pantry area that everybody wants to protect. The handicap ramp is being redesigned. They have got in the plans about 12 spaces on asphalt and 20 spaces now on grass pavers on the lawn. Where that's going, I have no idea, but they're trying to cut it back. They've gotten it so that the kitchen even isn't going to be completed, so it's going to be just a big empty kitchen space that they can, I guess, raise funds to fill up. But the million and whatever that had been cut out just it took it down. New town hall. The interior demo is nearly complete. Interior repointing is 75% complete. The structural and masonry repairs are nearly complete. Wall framing is started. The elevator shaft is nearly complete. Attic insulation has been started. Staging and exterior is completed. For the exterior repointing, it's started. The interior had been done, but the exterior is being started. And they have mock-up windows. They showed us a picture. Actually, I have pictures on the back of this somewhere. But if you want to look at them, the mock-up window units for the courtroom have been delivered, and the electrical's been started, and they're still monitoring the sheeting and continuing with excavations and foundations. If you go there, my goodness, there's a lot going on. And footing and foundation pours have continued to South Russell Street, and they're having a problem about that telephone pole. It has Verizon wires on it, and it's right there, and it needs to move. But of course,
Don't
don't even go there.
Don't
go there. But anyway, they're having a little bit of problem about that and trying to get in a pole. Well, anyway, we won't go on about that. And the new building, the new building part, the exterior mock-up panels have been started. So now they're doing wire removal in the parking area. They're rebarring and putting in footing installations. They're doing interior activities like demo, framing, structure, masonry, electrical roughing in. And, well, anyway, that's kind of where we are.
Good.
But the windows look good, and if you want to see, like, all the work that's going on,
Good.
it's, there's the mock-up windows that are going to go in the courtroom, and this is the construction site.
Okay.
So, anyway, that's,
Very good. Dr. Maestas.
Yeah, just a follow-up to South High School. I talked to Tom Finnegan last week, and he offered a tour
Good.
of the building
Yeah, we are
the
touring.
week of June 13th. If we want to do it an evening or on a Saturday,
yeah, one's a Thursday evening and one's a Saturday morning.
So it's the week of the 13th, this Thursday or Saturday evening, evening on Thursday, or if you want to do on a Saturday morning.
At 9, yeah.
You'd be more than willing to do that.
What about on Sunday?
Huh?
You ask, Steve.
That would be,
Say that again?
Tom would have to offer it. Yeah,
That's what they've
I think
set-
that's his day off.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what they've set up for us anyway, is
Okay.
those 2 days, so it's evening or morning. And, so,
it's pretty remarkable at this point to go
Come
up
and
and take a look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard, I've had feedback from people that have seen it and stuff, and it sounds
Just to
good.
give you both side story that I think is a little bit humorous, some sort of tongue in cheek. They should have asked us first. But they're starting to do the rough wiring, and they've noticed, because we had a week of rain, that the rain
Yes.
blows in the windows. We know that. You know, we went through that with the other buildings. So.
Yes, we did.
It blows through the walls, too. It depends on how well it's
Oh, it really
constructed.
blows there. Yeah.
Personnel reports, Dr. Gould.
Actually,
Thank you very much, Ms.
finish.
Bagley. Oh,
Sorry, I just have to move us, because
Oh,
we
okay,
still have an
'cause
executive
I
session
didn't
to
do
do.
the fire station and all that.
Sorry.
Okay.
I will be very quick. We have one certificated appointment, we have one coach appointment, 3 classified appointments, we have 7 short-term maternity FMLA leaves of absence, 2 long-term for 1 year leaves of absence, and 4 resignations.
Very good. Homeschooling plan approval, Dr. Maestas?
Tonight, we have one homeschool plan that is on the agenda for your approval. It has been reviewed and approved by our Office for Homeschooling Plans. There's Dr. Halpin's office, and I recommend approval.
Move recommendation, administration.
And do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded, Ms. Hunt. Any further discussion? My only point, I make this several times, is we're sitting at almost the end of the school year, and we're approving a homeschool
Is he new?
plan. And I know that there's usually a reasoning for it, but can you just elaborate for people that might be?
Yes,
under-
this is a new student and a new plan, so it's an entry at this time of the year. And again, they do come in from time to time, but I tell you, our homeschool plans, we've used to have them 10 at a time throughout the year, much better. I think Dr. Halpin's office is doing a really good job of urging our homeschool parents to get their plans in and reviewed in a timely manner.
Very good. So, all those in favor? Unanimous. Accounts payable warrant, Ms. Badger.
Whereas school committee members have been provided with a copy of the cost center transfer and transaction summary report and warrant for review, I move that the Plymouth School Committee accept and approve the reports and accounts payable warrant S05-1916 dated May 19th, 2016, in the amount of $841,971.37 as presented.
Second it.
Seconded. Thank you. Any further discussion?
Who's the second?
All those in favor?
Dr. Sorensen. We have unanimous.
I was gonna give you a shot, Mr. Selly, to be that would be
Oh,
your
to second?
first. Yeah. But moment's gone.
One of these items did-
All right.
One does involve the school thing.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, on the building committee, on the White Horse Beach restroom, they said that Plymouth South High School staff and students are going to be doing it.
That was stated in error, and it was corrected. Yes, that was stated in error, and they are going to be helping to design and doing some other features there, but that was stated
Oh,
in error.
okay. Oh, all
Yes.
right.
I
Good, but it's
talked
good
with-
it's said, yeah.
I talked with Melissa, and I talked with Barry de Blasio, and there's some clarification on that point that should be made at the next building committee.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So reviewing our minutes now, we have April 2nd. Ms. Hunt.
I move that the minutes of April 2nd, school committee meeting be accepted and approved as presented.
And Ms. Badger seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor? And one abstention, because you wouldn't have been there, so you have to abstain on that one. All the minutes, you'll have to abstain.
I'm just reading them. Just getting caught up.
Next one, April 5th.
Oh, I'll move that we approve the April 5th minutes.
And do I
as
have a
presented.
second? Ms. Badger seconds it. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Well, I have a question on that one, I'm sorry.
Oh.
I think I'm listed as present, but I think I was sick that night. That was town meeting, right?
Yes.
That was that we had town meeting on Saturday.
Yes, that's
Then it
right.
was canceled Monday.
Yep.
And then we had a Tuesday night. It has me listed as present, and I know I was ill that night.
And that's my fault, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry?
That's my fault, I'm sorry. 'Cause
How's that your
I
fault?
took those notes.
Oh, I thought you made me ill. I
No.
didn't.
Yeah, no, I apologize.
My head went.
I apologize.
You're the culprit.
I just don't want Nancy to get blamed for it, because it was my fault. I own it.
Anything else on that? Then, with that change, all those in favor? And 2 abstentions. And now, April 11th,
I'll move that they be accepted.
Mrs. Burgess.
A second.
Ms. Badger seconds it. Any further discussion? All those in favor? And 1 abstention. Next one, April 25th.
Okay. I move that we accept the minutes as presented.
And seconded by Mrs. Burgess. Any further discussion? All those in favor? And on that one, I have to abstain.
2 abstentions.
2 abstentions, sorry. And now on the last one, April 25th, executive session.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I
Ms.
move that-
Badger moved it,
Yep.
seconded by Mrs. Burgess. Any further discussion? All those in favor? And 2 abstentions. Very good. May picked up some time there. Now, we need to be a little more careful in our legal wording when we go into these executive sessions, so I have a script tonight, so I'm gonna read it. The last 2 items on tonight's agenda are executive sessions. Do I have a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of considering the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property, as an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the committee pursuant to Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, 6, and for the purpose of discussing strategies with respect to negotiations with non-union personnel pursuant to Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, 2.
Moved.
Ms. Badger moved it. Do I have it second? Mr. Morgan seconded it. It's a roll call vote. And we'll start, Ms. Terselli?
What do I say?
Aye, or yes.
Just say yes.
Yes.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Yes.
Yes.
Learning here,
Yes.
people.
That's okay.
You're fine.
I'm listening.
So we're going to go into executive session now. When the school committee comes out of executive session, it'll be only to adjourn the public.
I didn't say here.
What, did I skip something?
No, she just needs the wording.
I want the
It'll,
wording.
it'll only be to adjourn the public meeting. So with that,
We're done.
at 12 after, we're going to go into executive session. Thank you.